By Eric and Pam, a couple that's been teetering on the edge of divorce for years.
So, Pam, you guys have been using the controller all morning. I understand it's a very good listener.
It's like talking to a fully developed person.
It's got to be a major relief not needing your husband to be your partner or a friend.
Oh, yeah.
So, Eric, it must be a tremendous relief to know that there's someone else on the other end of Pam's eye rolls.
Oh, now I can focus on my game instead of worrying about all that stuff she said there.
Will the Relationship Pro keep you two together?
I think it'll drag this thing out for another couple months.
Amazing. Now, to thank you two for coming on the show, we bought you two the new Deluxe Relationship Pro Extreme.
This expanded model has two new modes. Fantasy mode, which allows you to select the age and nationality of the controller's voice.
Oh, I choose a voice like my dad's.
Okay. And a hyper-realistic mode that starts fights and then grovels pathetically when it's afraid you might get rid of it.
This is the Onion News Network.
You can stick it to the man and big tech. Join our FTL social mastodon at social.freetalklive.com. Free Talk Live.
Hey, it's Free Talk Live. 603-283-6160. It's like I've never done this before.
They didn't know you were muted.
I know, it's Chris.
And Bonnie.
And I think my lime brain has completely gone away, and I'm convinced at this point it's just senility.
What was that like? Was it just like that was one of the major symptoms was forgetfulness?
It was stumbling over words and not being able to recall things quickly. You know, the signs of senility. But yeah, it was pretty bad, and it lasted for not forever, but like after I started doing medication, it all kind of sprung back. It was kind of back to normal, and now I'm just in the slow decline of my life. I'm trying to be upbeat.
It sounds like when Mark got the shots, but he thinks it's COVID that messed up his brain.
What shots did he get?
Well, he got two different. He got like Moderna and Johnson & Johnson.
Did he?
Because one of them, you had to wait like 2 weeks in between getting the first half and the second half. I think that was Johnson & Johnson.
That was Moderna.
Oh.
Yeah.
And he got that one, and then they were like, well, you have to have it completely done by the time you go on this cruise. I'm pretty sure he's talked about this on the air.
Yeah, I believe he has.
Okay.
I'm sure I haven't heard it. I missed those episodes, so I don't know.
So he was like, well, in that case, I'm just going to get Johnson, whatever the next one was.
Gotcha.
Or whatever his second one that he got was.
What do you have? I'll take anything.
Yeah, so he basically got 1.5 shots. I don't know if he ever went and continued the last one either. Or the first one.
Interesting. Yeah, so my wife and I, we both got the ghetto shot. That was Johnson & Johnson. That was the one they gave to the dregs of society. They got that.
I remember hearing that one was safer for some reason, in some people's opinions.
It wasn't an mRNA vaccine, so it used adenovirus as its delivery mechanism. I thought it sounded marginally safer, and we were all, it was like we were dealing with the public every day. It's like, we can't afford to get sick. I have to run a store. I can't afford this. So I figured I'd do it, and I ended up getting, I think, 2 shots of J&J over the whole thing. And then everything starts coming out about how horrible this shot really was.
Did you ever try to ask them for info? You know how like some people were like, can I have your sleeve with the information? And they got like handed empty sleeves and stuff.
No, I did my own research. The internet, where all good things come from. Yeah, it was just obvious. By the time I got the second one, after that, that's when I quit dismissing anti-vaxxers as just being anti-vaxxers. Enough information came out after that. I'm like, yeah, this is really bad. And honestly, I grew up with vaccines. I had vaccines when I was a little kid, like all 4 of them we got when in my day, got because we didn't have the 130 vaccines that kids get now, and it's really terrifying.
Yeah, I don't know the exact number I got, but the way my parents explained it, it's like whatever they gave me in the hospital when I was born, I got those.
Yep.
And then never again. So
That's interesting.
because that's like by that time my aunt had convinced my mom that it's not good. So she's like, okay, I'm not going to get them anymore. And then none of the kids born after me got any. So I'm jealous of that.
Well, yeah, I'm kind of torn. It seemed to me like we did wipe out some childhood illnesses. There are things that just haven't ever reared their head again.
I got chicken pox. Like, I got chicken pox, not the shot.
Yeah, I did too. That wasn't even a vaccine when I was a kid. It was, you just had a chicken pox party and everybody got it all at the same time. And that was that. And chicken pox, to me, was just the most annoying illness I ever had.
I was like 1 year old, but I do have this like vague memory of oatmeal in my bathtub.
A whole tub
Remember how
of
that
oatmeal.
worked? It wasn't like that. It was like
my mom did
milky,
that too.
watery. Yeah.
Yeah, they were trying to come up with something, and it just, nothing really worked, and eventually it just goes away. As an older American, I am like terrified of shingles. Shingles really sucks when you're older.
Mm-hmm.
But hey, they've got a vaccine for it.
I've even heard of shingles sucking for people like my age. There's this girl I watch on YouTube that has it, and she's done everything from like ketamine to deal with it. It's like she gets shingles on her arm.
Will you tell my wife that ketamine is supposed to be better for addressing shingles? Yeah, just so she won't mind.
Then again, I could be misreporting this, but she has shingles, which I'm
taking it as gospel.
I was like shocked that somebody that young has shingles, because I've never heard of anybody having it really, but you hear of it as like an old thing.
Yeah.
Unless it's like, you got it like a staph infection. Isn't that similar or no?
No, it is. It's the chickenpox virus. But when we get it when we're older, we can't quickly spring back from it, or maybe it evolves into some completely new disease or different disease called shingles. I don't know.
And the deal is that if you got vaccinated, you probably won't get shingles. But if you didn't get vaccinated for chickenpox, even if you got it, you might get shingles when you're older.
I know that I was never vaccinated against chickenpox. The only chickenpox immunity I have is natural immunity, because chickenpox vaccine never existed when I was growing up. It didn't come around till maybe 10, 15 years ago. So I don't know. And they're saying, well, the shingles one. And if you price that out just on open market, it's like a $250 vaccine. It's not a cheap and easy free. I'm sure lots of people's healthcare may cover that, but it's expensive. And that's the thing. I mean, this whole world it seems like life in the United States all just revolves around healthcare costs. And that's a little bit of what we're going to talk about. Of course, we're still talking about the guy who shot the CEO, because that's what it seems to be still on my news feed as much as it was the day that it happened.
Yeah, it's like, when I first heard the news, it was actually crazy, because I was in Manhattan to eat dinner, drove away, and then like 7 hours later, somebody had shot someone in Manhattan, and we were like, whoa, we were just there. And actually I'd never been there before, so it's a really crazy coincidence.
You do look kind of like the pictures of the guy, that face pic.
No, I don't.
I would say he was very cute. Lots of girls and Bonnie, you're kind of cute. So
no girls
where
like
exactly were you when the shooting occurred?
Then I was in Pennsylvania.
Okay. Allegedly, she has an alibi.
I saw somebody got a tattoo of the shooter smiling picture already, and that's so good. That's just funny and iconic.
We of course we monitor Yik Yak, a app heavily used by college students,
and he's not being like one of those old guys saying that stupid tickled TikTok Yik Yak. That's almost what I thought.
Yeah, I know.
I thought he was making fun of TikTok by calling it Yik Yak, but no, it's a real app.
It's a social media app that is completely anonymous, and if you sign up and you say you're a student and you're on a college campus, you can join a local college's Yik Yak, and you can see what everybody else is posting, and we do that for business purposes. And
now they all know.
Well, I think they all know anyway, but it was interesting. Like immediately, like the whole talk was, he's cute. I could tell all the girls that were, and probably some gay guys too.
I think that the guy who got arrested is a different guy than the picture.
That is their consensus. Now,
Really?
I'm saying this is on Yik Yak, but that's also talking to customers who come in our store who are 99% college students. They all are saying that is not the same guy.
Yeah.
I find it really refreshing to see a younger generation really embracing conspiracy theories.
Questioning the narrative.
They are questioning what's going on. They don't believe it. They absolutely do not believe it. And that is really, really interesting to me.
That's really good to hear because I thought for sure that the consensus is the same thing on Twitter, that people don't believe it. But then again, you think about how you get served people's posts that agree with you.
Right.
And it's like every time I think, oh, the consensus on Twitter is X about anything, or
Right.
X, Y, or Z. Stupid.
At
Because it's
least-
called X.
Right.
But I'm always wondering if that's really true, if it's just the posts I've seen. But anyways, I thought it myself before anybody put it in my brain, because I saw the picture of the guy smiling and I thought, that looks like saw the picture of the guy smiling and I just thought, beautiful person, but kind of giving me gay vibes. So I didn't
Right.
think hot and sexy. I just thought,
Yeah.
wow, like beautiful smile. I hope he didn't actually kill someone. I don't know.
Right.
And then I see the picture of just his eyes in the train, and I was like, whoa, he looks like my ex-husband. And then when I see the picture of the guy who got arrested, 0%. Well, I would never see him and think he looks like my ex. And that's how I just know it's different eyes. Different eyes.
I had some girl, she was like, did you see his eyebrows? It was like in the original pictures, like he has well-defined, albeit heavy eyebrows.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy that they arrested in Altoona looks like he has to shave that unibrow like once a day, or
Yes.
just becomes one huge caterpillar.
That's something that got pointed out to me on Twitter, was there's a picture of him walking down the street, and it's definitely the person who shot him, because it's like, oh wait, never mind. Well, you can assume it's the person who shot him because he's
Right.
just like that guy. And you zoom in, you don't have to like zoom way in, but the picture I saw is kind of zoomed in to make a point, and you can see that there's at least 2 inches of space with absolutely no hair there,
Yeah.
bald. And then that's supposed to be that picture is supposed to be taken a day before he got shot or the day he got shot. But then he got arrested, and then a total amount of time should be about 1 week in between the picture I was just describing and the mugshot.
Right.
And in the mugshot, he has so much hair. He has a unibrow.
Right.
His eyebrows don't have a gap at all. There's hair all in there. So how could that happen? Because I understand you could pluck your eyebrows, you could shape your eyebrows, but would it really grow back thick and long in 1 week? I mean, I have very little eyebrows, so I only have to pluck a little bit here and there once every 2 weeks.
Well, I'm a man, so we carefully pick and pull stray hairs every 6 months to a year.
If it's 3 inches long.
Right. When something starts getting into my vision, then I pluck it.
Yeah.
But yeah, the guy they've got, it just seemed like he must. It looked like for him to match up with the pictures in New York, he would have to have a daily routine. It would have
Yeah.
to be a daily thing.
Yes.
I brush my teeth, I shave my unibrow, I go about my day. And it looked like he would wake up with 5 o'clock shadow, in between his brows. It was so thick, and
It's even a different arch. So this is kind of like a girl
thing.
eyebrow term. It's the highest point in your eyebrow. It can be right above your pupil for some people. Like my dad, he has kind of triangle eyebrows.
right.
The
And
highest-
yours is off to the side.
A little bit, yeah.
Right. Okay.
And then some people's can be even further out. And if you look at the arch in the brow of the guy in the train who's looking he has a mask on, he's like looking directly at the camera, and you look at the arch of the guy who got arrested, all the pictures of him from his Instagrams and everything, different arch.
This isn't even going into the fact that the guy pulled off, whoever did it in New York, pulled off a really successful hit at like 6 o'clock in the morning, or it was ridiculously early. He knew exactly where the CEO would be. Brian Thompson. I'll give him a name. I mean, the CEO, Brian Thompson, he knew exactly where he was going to be. Most hotels have more than one way to get in and out. He was across the street. He saw him leave the main main entrance, I guess, and he was there. It's like everything was so well planned out. He quickly made his way across the street. He quickly got on a bike. He got out of the immediate area, and then he made it to a bus terminal and made it out of the city. This does not look like the type of guy. I can't imagine this is the kind of guy who carries around a sound suppressor for a gun and the murder weapon and a manifesto when he walks into a McDonald's.
Yeah.
None of this adds up to me.
Yeah. And he even dropped off a backpack in maybe Central Park or something like that. So you would think he was trying to get rid of the stuff. Why would he be like, I want to get rid of all this stuff except the murder weapon?
Exactly.
And there are people who are as simple and low IQ to say, he was found with the murder weapon. Of course it's him. And it's just like the media said that he was found with X, Y, and Z stuff.
Yeah, he was found with a gun, and they were saying, the gun is definitely consistent with the gun that was used. It doesn't look anything at all. It looks like a 3D printed, like a Glock 19. That's not what the gun looked like in the video of the shooting. It looked like something strange. And he kept either re-racking it, or it looked like,
Was it getting stuck? Some people were saying it looked like it was getting jammed, and he unjammed it and then continued shooting, which is supposed to be like kind of hard to do.
So there is an old World War II design of a pistol that requires you to re-rack it. It has a magazine, but you sort of re-rack it, and that's initially what they were suspecting it was.
So I said on the show, and I was so wrong, that you told me that it was a gun from the Revolutionary War. And so I was like, yeah.
He shot Brian Johnson with a musket.
Yeah, I was like, Chris from Wednesday told me that it was a gun the British had in the Revolutionary War. And then everybody was like, that's not possible. And I was like, you're going to have to ask him. I don't remember now. Okay, so World War II.
Yeah, it's a weird design, but then they also said there's guns that are used in farming, in I don't know what,
to like shoot an animal, put an animal down. That's what I also heard from Chris, or from Mr. Penguin.
From Penguin, yeah. I don't know. Believe it or not, we cannot be experts on guns we see on bad video. But yeah, in either case, it did not look at all like what they said they found on the guy in Altoona.
So they showed like a close-up evidence picture of it on the news? Oh, I didn't look.
Yeah, and it's, it is what it is. The long and the short of it is usually we have to take like 6 months before all the kind of detail we now get like immediately. This whole thing just stinks. I don't know whether this is the guy who did it or not.
And he's obviously like an actor who is meant to act like it was him, because he's like being escorted out of like a car into a building, and he's yelling stuff like, these parasites, how'd it come? I don't know if that's exactly what he yelled, but just crap like that.
He did yell. And he was like something about the American people are not stupid.
Yeah. And it's like he's not saying stuff like, it wasn't me, I'm innocent.
Right, I'm a patsy. Oops, where have we heard that before? He's
yelling other stuff. And those parasites had it coming is in the manifesto. Great line.
It is. But I don't know. I suspect we may be talking about this a bit more, and I hope this does not lose traction. Because it just smells so bad to me. It smells like whoever did this either knows that they're not going to catch the guy and they're trying to set this guy up, or he's just, I don't know. I don't know, and it's going to be interesting to follow.
This is such a good reason why it is smart to not have a lot of social media. Not that I'm like following my own advice, and to not give away info about yourself that you would think, how could this ever be used against me? Because say the cops are just arresting someone to frame him because they can't find the guy. They don't want to look useless and like their job isn't needed, so they're just arresting a random guy. They can so easily, they have a whole repertoire, they have like one of those things you can look through to find somebody's phone number, a Rolodex of, okay, well, so brunette and this and that and that, and then they're like, whoa, look at this one, looks enough like him, and complained of back pain.
Perfect.
He had a book about back pain on his Goodreads.
Yeah.
And then you think you shared that information with the internet and it was totally harmless, and now you're arrested and you're going to go to jail for life.
It's crazy. 603-283-6160 is the number. If you've got ideas on this stuff, give us a call. We're going to keep talking about it. I read an interesting, well, let's just do I'm not even going to do that. I've got a story. So this is leaked video that apparently came out. And this is from Neoscope. I have no idea if Neoscope is a reputable news organization, but I thought this was kind of interesting.
Is that like a Neopets newspaper?
It may be.
No, that's the Neopian Times.
Neoscope.com, I guess. Leaked video shows insurance CEO gloating about denied care.
Wait, was it Brian Thompson?
Not him. So Brian Thompson was in charge of United Healthcare. He was the CEO of that. But United Healthcare is but one division of United Health Services or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. So that whole company is, I think I read, fifth in market cap on the Fortune 500. So we are talking about a big organization. I guess this is the CEO of the whole shooting match. United Health Group CEO Andrew Whitty made some eyebrow-raising remarks following the assassination of his colleague Brian Thompson.
Following?
Yes, he made.
Well, I almost thought this was going to be like, oh, old video shows him gloating, but still,
no,
that'd be bad too. But this is even worse.
This was the day that this is what he said that same day as he was making. Whitty addressed employees in a company-wide video in which he justified their practice of, dang it. I'm sorry about that, folks. No, it's even worse than that. Well, there's my tease. We'll get to this. And what did this CEO say? Again, 603-283-6160 is the number to call if you want to talk about the shooting of a CEO or the U.S. healthcare system or anything else, because whatever you want to talk about, we'll talk about. It's Free Talk Live.
Some of you have wanted to support Free Talk Live's mission on a monthly basis, but don't want to support Patreon. Now we have an alternative that also helps our premier streaming platform, Odyssey. Visit video.freetalklive.com and click Join at the top of the channel. You can subscribe for $5 per month, and unlike other subscription services, Odyssey adds their processing fee on top, so it'll cost a little over $5 per month, but Free Talk Live will receive the entire amount you pledged. Higher donation tiers are available if you're feeling so inspired. You'll get a special membership badge that's visible in the Odyssey chat room, and if we get enough supporters, we may enable members-only chat. This new subscription method is a great way to decentralize our direct listener support away from just Patreon and also support a libertarian-run business, Odyssey. Please visit video.freetalklive.com and click join to subscribe to our Odyssey channel and help support spreading our message around the planet. Visit video.freetalklive.com and click join today.
From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Nick Harper. FBI Director Christopher Wray says he will resign before President-elect Donald Trump takes office. It comes just days after Trump announced his intentions to replace Wray. FSN's Kate Fisher reports from Washington.
In an interview over the weekend, Trump said he was very unhappy with the things that Wray had done. Under Wray's tenure, the FBI's investigated Trump, including assisting in a federal probe into his handling of classified documents. In a Truth Social post, Trump said that Wray's resignation is, quote, a great day for America. In announcing that he would step down, Christopher Wray said he believed it would be the best way to avoid dragging the Bureau deeper into the fray. Trump says he wants to appoint Kash Patel as his replacement. He's a longtime loyalist who's called for dramatically limiting the FBI's authority.
The man accused of trying to assassinate Donald Trump on his Florida golf course is looking to delay his trial until December 2025. His lawyers say Ryan Ruth is considering an insanity defense. His team says the extraordinary volume of evidence and material that needs to be examined ahead of the trial means he can't stand trial for another 12 months. His trial date is currently scheduled for February the 10th. US police say fingerprints found at the scene of the murder of United Healthcare's CEO match those of the suspect, Luigi Mangione. He was arrested last week after the killing in New York. Meanwhile, he's fighting extradition from Pennsylvania to Manhattan. FSN's Sally Patterson has more.
Luigi Mangione struggled with officers as he was led into a Pennsylvania courthouse. The 26-year-old shouted to reporters, "It's an insult to the intelligence of the American people." He's accused of shooting Brian Thompson in New York, who worked for America's largest insurance company. Mangione grew up in Baltimore, Maryland, where he attended Gilman School, an all-boys private school. Sources told media that investigators have started interviewing members of his family.
A wildfire continues to threaten the US city of Malibu, destroying at least 7 homes and forcing thousands to evacuate the coastal enclave in Southern California. More than 1,500 firefighters are trying to control the blaze, which began on Monday night and quickly spread due to windy conditions. FSN's Ira Spitzer reports from California.
California officials said the Franklin fire grew by 39% on Wednesday night and has now burned more than 3,900 acres or 1,500 hectares with 7% containment. At least 7 homes have been destroyed and 9 damaged, and the fire is burning near several residential neighborhoods and an RV park. The blaze has forced thousands to leave their homes in the wealthy enclave east of LA, including celebrities such as Dick Van Dyke and Cher.
From Bureaus Worldwide, this is FSN.
Don't miss a moment of Free Talk Live. Get our archives daily via our podcast at feeds.freetalklive.com.
It is Free Talk Live. 603-283-6160. In studio, it's Chris and Bonnie. We're just waiting to take your calls and talk about whatever's on your mind. Doesn't have to be what we're talking about. We're talking about healthcare in the United States and the reason people feel compelled to cheer the shooting of a healthcare insurance CEO. But first, Free Talk Live is brought to you by Dash Digital Cash. In addition to being one of the world's first cryptocurrencies, Dash was the first crypto project with a decentralized, autonomous organization that to this day continues to improve and promote Dash. Thanks to the Dash DAO for sending us 32 Dash per month for this sponsorship. It's easy to get and use Dash. You can learn more at dash.org. That's dash.org. And we were, I kept trying to start this article, and by the time we got ready to read it.
Was it asking you to pay?
No. It was just things were moving too quickly. I'm old. You know this, right? I'm ancient. 300 or 400 years old by most accounts.
Did you exist in the 1800s?
I was in middle age in the 1800s.
The whole 1800s, because your lifespan is so long.
Exactly. This video comes to us from Neoscope. Leaked video shows insurance CEO gloating about denying care, calling critics delusional. They see themselves as protectors against, quote, unnecessary care, unquote. United Healthcare Group CEO Andrew Whitty made some eye-raising remarks following the assassination of his colleague Brian Thompson. On the day of Thompson's murder, Whitty addressed employees in a company-wide video in which he justified their practice of stamping out, quote, unnecessary, unquote, health coverage.
And it's just that they don't, because there's all kinds of stuff you hear about people getting, and it's like, you just know that person was on an Obamacare insurance plan and they got, their arm skin cut off to make a fake penis.
Right. Quote, our role is a critical role, and we make sure that care is safe, appropriate, and is delivered when people need it, unquote, Thompson said in the internal virtual address leaked to journalist Ken Klippenstein. Quote, as we guard against the pressures that exist for unsafe care or for unnecessary care to be delivered in a way which makes the whole system too complex and is ultimately unsustainable, unquote. No argument with the unsustainable part. We're spending way more than we bring in. Quote, so we're going to continue to make this case, and we're going to continue to do the work we do, unquote, he added. As critics of the healthcare industry might argue, Whitty's comments are emblematic of the insurer's ruthless cost-saving policies that prevent patients from getting coverage for often crucial or life-saving procedures, leaving them with enormous medical bills. An analysis by Value Penguin suggests that United Healthcare, a subsidiary of United Health Group, which Thompson served as CEO of, denies a staggering 32% of claims. That's twice the industry average and more than any other insurer. The company even reportedly is using an AI algorithm to automatically deny some of these claims. Oh, see, AI works.
Wow. I feel like the trans surgeries are just low-hanging fruit. Like, that's obviously ridiculous. They're not making sure stuff is safe if they're giving trans surgeries. And there are definitely, like, some restrictions on, like, oh, I had to go to out of range or whatever they call it, place to get my surgery because my place wouldn't cover it. But it's not like they are covering it 0%. And that's how much they should be covering an elective surgery that is not proven to do anything positive for people and is also killing people. But that's low-hanging fruit. That's just obvious. Should be obvious to anyone that
right.
There's no proof that cutting your arm skin off and making a fake penis or cutting a hole in your pelvic cavity to make a fake vagina, and I refuse to say neo-vagina. Another thing that's from Neopets.
Vajayjay is the correct term.
Yeah.
You want to refer to that as a vajayjay.
Well, those are low-hanging fruit, but then there's also things like this. Like today, I heard this story on Twitter. Somebody was saying that like their relative had back pain from just a certain age. It's something like with your discs, herniated discs just can happen, and the only way to get it. To get money for it because she like couldn't work was to falsely claim, so I guess he has this inside knowledge that she falsely claimed something happened at work to get the workman's comp thing, and because of that, her insurance, I don't remember why, but there was some kind of incentive there, like monetary incentive, that her insurance wanted her to get a surgery because of it, and it was completely unnecessary, but she went and got like I think the thing that Luigi had with like the metal
pins and stuff like that
in his spine. So she got that just because it would like
be covered,
maybe give more money or something. Yeah. And then and even in the tweet they wrote, and doctors are always happy to get a payday by doing an unnecessary surgery, so it's probably common. And then it just made it worse, and now it backfired on her really hard because, yeah, she got this fake money, or she got this easy money by lying about workman's comp, but now she has pain every day and all kinds of stuff that made her quality of life so much worse. It's like not worth the $60,000 or whatever.
Yeah. As somebody who has had serious back injuries, I've got four or five, I think it's four fractured vertebrae in my back, and I've always had them, and surgery was...
Did you fall or something, or was it...
I flew a car.
Car
flew well, didn't land great.
Yeah.
But the idea of surgery is something that was brought up then, and the response back then, this is back in the 1300s, was we don't want to go to surgery. We don't want to do that because it'll never be better than it is now. So learn to live with it. That's our best advice. And I got that same advice in the 80s and the same advice in the 2000s. You don't want to go for surgery. It'll make it worse. And I've always kind of believed that. I was listening to, and these stories are anecdotal. They were talking about somebody's post on Twitter and then the responses. But people, what concerns me is like a woman allegedly was denied an extension after surgery of pain medication, which is not unusual. That's a combination of insurance plus government saying, no, we've got to do something about the opioid crisis, so just stop giving people pain meds completely.
Wow.
But lots of people pointing back to denials by insurance company for things that absolutely were necessary. And that's the thing. I mean, you're not getting what you're paying for. If you are actually paying for health care insurance, when you do need it, you're likely not going to get what you thought you were going to get. And
I got an $8,000 bill for an IV once.
Yeah.
And I had to call it was like a whole job calling these people to try to find the right person to talk to figure this crap out. Like, it wasn't just like I call the customer service, maybe you get transferred once and then they figure it out.
Right.
It was like I spent that whole day, not only that, but like being stressed out because me and my boyfriend at the time were like, how are we going to ever pay for this? I didn't know it cost that much, but then ultimately it was like a mistake. Some lady on the phone figured out it was a mistake, but anyways, they're just so bad.
It is.
And it was Obamacare. I don't remember exactly the name of the company, but it was Obamacare.
And that's the whole thing. It's not that healthcare is got more expensive. It didn't, because in other countries that have freer markets than we do, costs are similar. Costs are slightly lower. Why do people go to Mexico?
Yeah.
It's not because all Mexicans work for less money, but it's just this regulatory burden that sneaks onto every bill you get, and healthcare is a huge one. We're going to go to the phones where we've got Robert. Robert, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hi, how you doing, guys?
How are you? What's on your mind?
Well, I'll tell you. What I heard on the news was they have fingerprints off the bottle that he used, and they've matched it with his. So he is definitely the murderer.
Was this the bottle that they found in a garbage can near where he was at?
I'm not sure where they found it, but they did find a bottle with his fingerprints matching.
I understand that. I guess my point is they, and I believe they were talking about a bottle that they had recovered near the crime scene. That is, I think, the quote they used.
Like a water bottle?
A water bottle or something. They say that those prints matched this guy in New York. But again, a defense attorney is going to ask, well, where was the bottle at? Was it on him? Or did he just throw a bottle away he had?
Well, and the other thing, too, the talk about the 3D modeled gun, that gun could not be 3D modeled. The 3D model was made for the officers so they know what they were looking for. The gun was more than likely a ghost gun made from parts, mail order.
Well, the pictures that I saw of it did look like a 3D printed gun, but that just means you've made basically the lower half of the gun. You're still using a regular steel barrel and all that, which you can order, and it's not a traceable thing. So the big thing they want to do is what's known as the receiver. They want to 3D print that, so you don't have that pesky serial number on there. And that's what it looked like to me. I don't know. It just didn't look at all like the firearm that was used in the shooting.
I don't know. The bottle evidence doesn't convince me either. If you're going to set up a person to go shoot someone, of course you're going to think, and then we'll plant a water bottle with his fingerprints somewhere. It's not like, oh, somebody tackled him right after he got shot, grabbed a water bottle from his hands, and he got away. Then they used that water bottle and found his fingerprints on it. It's like so many steps away from that. Found in a trash can nearby. So easily plantable.
Yeah, I thought they got it out of the trash can.
Yeah, and again, that color me kind of suspicious of this whole thing, but they get him in, here's how I see it coming down. All right, you're under arrest, you know that. Yes, you're going to get your lawyer before we ask you any questions. I understand that. Would you like a bottle of water while you're sitting here in jail? Thank you. We need that bottle now. Somebody quick, drive this to New York. Like I could see that going down. Yeah.
You could also plant fingerprints.
Yes, you can.
You can. I think it's like tape.
That would be one way to do it. And the thing is, Robert, I'm so suspicious of government in general that they pull so many shenanigans in our everyday life that something as outrageous as framing a guy for the murder of a CEO on Wall Street one state away, it just doesn't surprise me,
Yeah.
I
agree.
And that's a really sad state of affairs, I think.
Yeah, I agree with you.
It's crazy.
Well, have a good evening, folks.
Hey, man, thanks a lot for the call. And we're going to go to, let's see, Jet. Jet, you're on Free Talk Live.
Yeah, I'll make a couple comments about that.
Please.
As you know, New York City never picks up its garbage, right? It's always there days later.
That's a good
everything.
one. Yeah.
Right
That's
on
a really
the
good
top.
point.
Right on the top, not buried with anything else. Yeah, someone so meticulous in their research and setting up an itinerary and then planning an escape, but yet he just decided to keep all this good stuff, incriminating evidence with him.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of hairy mole on that one. But I wanted to
he's
ask
Italian.
wanted to ask you a few questions about something else. If you back out of your driveway and you run over the neighbor's 3-year-old, are you responsible or negligent in any way?
I think it would depend on what the hell the 3-year-old's doing in my driveway.
I think you should look as you're backing up. If you're just not looking at turning in your head at all and just backing up,
right?
I think that's pretty dumb.
What would most people think? I mean, if you were showing off your gun, for example, and accidentally shoot your buddy, would that be a case of negligence?
No, so. Not if you're Dick Cheney.
Well, if you're backing up and you even hit something like somebody else's car because you're not looking while backing up, people are going to blame you and you're not going to win that one. So if it's someone's kid, the kid probably shouldn't be in your yard, but is it a crime to be in your driveway?
But what kind of kid is it? I mean, is a kid a little brat?
Right, yeah. What was he doing there? Was he mowing the lawn? Okay, if a cop kneels on your neck and kills you, is he negligently responsible?
For 9 minutes?
Yeah, for 9 minutes, 15 minutes, 10, whatever it was, yeah.
No, anyway, I don't disagree.
I just think it's really interesting how this thing we call the justice system seems to wave, up and down, go this way or that way, depending upon how people feel. That's my main point, because they acquitted this guy who obviously, was involved in the death of this other guy. But the cop that kneeled on his neck got a minimum sentence of 3.5 years. So it all depends who the perpetrator is, and all depends who the administrator is.
Well, that guy probably wouldn't have gotten any jail time if it wasn't for the uproar.
I think that's likely what saved him.
Yeah, because he's a cop, yeah.
No, you're talking about the Penny case?
Oh, no, I guess I thought we were talking about George Floyd.
Well, I think we're kind of talking about both of them, yeah. So Penny was the guy in the subway who was trying to subdue an attacker who was attacking a woman, and he choked him out. He was a Marine, and he applied some of his training, and he wasn't trying to kill him. He was trying to subdue him and keep him from attacking other people.
Well, what do you think about this? Richie Rich on the Sunday show was saying he should have known from being trained, which I don't like the thought crime aspect of this, but he was saying that anyone would know after being trained that amount of time could kill, that at least that amount of time he was knocked out and he wasn't a danger anymore and he could let him go. And that's one thing, but another step even further is that there were other people there saying, hey, let him go, we're here and we'll hold him down. Other people were holding him down. So because of those two things, I can see how it's almost a gray area. And the thing is, I'm not sad this absolute loser is dead at all. And I think it's hilarious that his parents thought they're going to get a payday over this.
Right.
Ridiculous.
Well, that's what I'm trying to get at, is the ebb and flow of this thing we call the legal system. How in some cases, it goes this way, in other cases it goes this way. I have a few more perspectives, if you wouldn't mind, that I kind of share about the court system.
Well, I think overall it's very clear that the court system can be manipulated. Number one, if you work for the court system, you can manipulate it so you never face prosecution. If you're very wealthy, like an OJ, you can manipulate it to make sure you're not found guilty. And
I just wonder sometimes if a lot of this stuff it comes from the emotional nature of the jury. It can be pretty scary to stand up against this system. What I view it as is there's one person, for example, that has control over your life. I call him the sorcerer in the magic black dress. I mean, he gets to decide, or she gets to decide what the fate of your future is. And, having that single person hold your life in their hands, I think is just craziness to begin with. But I've been in court a few times. Mostly, I've been pretty successful, mostly against traffic cases, but I did represent myself in a, what do you call that? Protection order.
Okay.
Type of thing. What's the other word for it?
Restraining order?
Restraining order. Yeah. But I had lots of fun doing that. But I would caution anybody else, unless you have really studied up on procedures and objections and other types of things that you can do as an individual, you're really kind of throwing yourself over the coals.
Yeah.
Now, this one time that I did, like I said, I also had a felony at one point, but I got a lawyer for that, and they got that dismissed. But the thing about the restraining order and all, it's really kind of interesting. Like I said, the way this court works, where this one person sits in front, but maybe 4 feet off the floor.
Well, it's all magic. It's legitimately
it's a stage
like a magic
production.
trick because it's just like a olden times type of. By olden times, I mean like ancient room you'd go into to have like a ritual and have a certain thing placed upon your mind, like this person is in the front, they are above you.
See, when Bonnie tells stories like this and she talks about olden times, she stares right at me like, come on, back me up. You were there.
Yeah. Well,
Were you the
I was there
initiate?
too.
Yeah.
Was that?
No, she's just messing with me.
Oh, no, I was there too. A lot of times it's kind of funny to make people feel that, you're older or whatever. I was on this dating site one time, and this girl asked me, "Do you have all your teeth?"
Well, one time my friend's mom went on a date and she came back kind of early and she like called her daughter, which was my friend, and was like, I'm going to tell you the story when I get home. And then she got there and she was speaking German. So I waited for my friend to tell me the story. And they were just laughing. And she was just like, oh my God. So my mom basically said she got there and the guy started talking to her and she just laughed in his face and walked because he had no teeth.
Well, what I did.
It is terrible.
What I did in response to that is I said, hang on a second. And I pulled my top lip down over the top of the teeth. And I said, does this answer your question? Or you say something like, well, I used to have all my teeth, but since the war, it got kind of hard on.
Yeah, send a voice message like that. She'll still like you.
Yeah, it's fun. But anyway, I'm saying don't represent yourself in court unless you've done a lot of studying.
Yeah, a lot of people have the feeling that, well, I could do that. All I have to do is tell them the truth and they'll fine for me.
Right.
It's like, yeah.
Like I was saying on a episode recently, I've heard so many people say, like, say you're talking to somebody about something they're doing and somebody mentions, oh, that could be illegal for whatever reason. And it's not like they're like, I'm going to tell you, they're just warning you or something.
Right.
And then it seems like so common that somebody says, oh, well, if I got arrested for that, I would just tell the judge, blah, blah, blah. And
Yeah.
I used to think like that. I used to think, oh, well, whatever, I would just tell them this and they would understand.
Exactly.
And I didn't know until I've been to like lots of court cases now that you don't even really get an opportunity to just tell your story. You don't get to,
No.
you should get to just go up there uninterrupted, nobody asking you these sneaky questions, and just have at least like 5 minutes to just be like, this is what happened. This is my story. But no, it's all through you only get to answer questions of the people who are playing against you in the game.
Yeah, I'll just say one last thing. Objections is what you need to learn. That's the biggest thing that saved me, was learning all the different objections.
I object.
I object.
Thank you so much for the call. 603-283-6160. I object to this whole line of questioning, Your Honor. Yeah, that doesn't get you very far. This is Free Talk Live.
This hour of Free Talk Live is brought to you by Dash Digital Cash. Dash is the cryptocurrency designed to be used for spending. In addition to being one of the world's first cryptocurrencies, Dash was the first crypto project to have a decentralized autonomous organization that to this day continues to improve and promote Dash. Every month, 10% of the mining rewards go into a treasury. Anyone with one Dash to spend can put forward a proposal to the Dash masternodes. The masternodes vet the proposals and decide which ones move forward and are funded by that treasury. Nowadays, DAOs are plentiful, but Dash paved the way by doing it first, nearly a decade ago. Dash is one of the oldest cryptocurrencies and is widely available on exchanges, including the decentralized Maya protocol, and in multi-crypto wallets. It's easy to get and use Dash. Start by learning more at dash.org. Thanks to the Dash DAO for sending us 32 Dash per month to promote Dash on the air. Visit dash.org to learn about Dash. Dash.org.
How many lawyers does it take to change a light bulb? None. They'd rather keep their clients in the dark. There are too many lawyer jokes to count. However, there are some lawyers with more noble intentions. At the Institute for Justice, we bring the light to our clients. We are a non-profit public interest law firm with clear values and principles. At IJ, we fight for those whose most basic rights are denied by the government. Visit our website today at ij.org.
What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live listen line, 641-793-0191.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Nick Harper. FBI Director Christopher Wray says he will resign before President-elect Donald Trump takes office. It comes just days after Trump announced his intentions to replace Wray. FSN's Kate Fisher reports from Washington.
In an interview over the weekend, Trump said he was very unhappy with the things that Wray had done. Under Wray's tenure, the FBI's investigated Trump, including assisting in a federal probe into his handling of classified documents. In a Truth Social post, Trump said that Wray's resignation is, quote, a great day for America. In announcing that he would step down, Christopher Wray said he believed it would be the best way to avoid dragging the Bureau deeper into the fray. Trump says he wants to appoint Kash Patel as his replacement. He's a longtime loyalist who's called for dramatically limiting the FBI's authority.
The man accused of trying to assassinate Donald Trump on his Florida golf course is looking to delay his trial until December 2025. His lawyers say Ryan Ruth is considering an insanity defense. His team says the extraordinary volume of evidence and material that needs to be examined ahead of the trial means he can't stand trial for another 12 months. His trial date is currently scheduled for February the 10th. US police say fingerprints found at the scene of the murder of United Healthcare's CEO match those of the suspect, Luigi Mangione. He was arrested last week after the killing in New York. Meanwhile, he's fighting extradition from Pennsylvania to Manhattan. FSN's Sally Patterson has more.
Luigi Mangione struggled with officers as he was led into a Pennsylvania courthouse. The 26-year-old shouted to reporters, "It's an insult to the intelligence of the American people." He's accused of shooting Brian Thompson in New York, who worked for America's largest insurance company. Mangione grew up in Baltimore, Maryland, where he attended Gilman School, an all-boys private school. Sources told media that investigators have started interviewing members of his family.
A wildfire continues to threaten the US city of Malibu, destroying at least 7 homes and forcing thousands to evacuate the coastal enclave in Southern California. More than 1,500 firefighters are trying to control the blaze, which began on Monday night and quickly spread due to windy conditions. FSN's Ira Spitzer reports from California.
California officials said the Franklin fire grew by 39% on Wednesday night and has now burned more than 3,900 acres or 1,500 hectares with 7% containment. At least 7 homes have been destroyed and 9 damaged, and the fire is burning near several residential neighborhoods and an RV park. The blaze has forced thousands to leave their homes in the wealthy enclave east of LA, including celebrities such as Dick Van Dyke and Cher.
From Bureaus Worldwide, this is FSN.
With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks, with more today on Syria and the leader of the HTS rebels who ousted Bashar al-Assad from power last weekend. His name is Abu Muhammad al-Jolani, although that is a nom de guerre, redolent of the fact that his movement is still designated a terrorist organization by the United States. But he says he's put his desire for violent jihad behind him and now wants to play a role unifying Syria after more than 2 decades of the Assad dictatorship brutality. Emma Beals, a non-resident fellow at the Middle East Institute and senior advisor at the European Institute of Peace, says there are preliminary signs that he might have changed his ways.
We've seen significant changes in how he has conducted himself, and I think he kind of made a choice that actually he's more interested in a leadership role in Syria than transnational jihadist threats. If he takes over an enormous amount of power, and that's still to be seen, would he rule in a way that the majority of Syrians who rose up against the government and have gone through these 14 years of pain like to see? That's a separate question. And I think the answer to that is potentially no.
She says it is still far from evident that al-Jolani will build a truly inclusive government in Syria or even pave the way for an electoral process there, which is why so many international observers are expressing caution about the country's future. With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks.
And the main news again, FBI Director Christopher Wray says he'll resign before Donald Trump returns to the White House. Trump had already signalled that he intends to replace Wray. The man accused of trying to assassinate Trump at his Florida golf course in September is looking to delay his trial until December 2025. And US police say fingerprints found at the scene of the murder of United Healthcare's CEO match those of the suspect who's been arrested. That's Feature Story News. Nick Harper reporting.
The call just came in over the police radio. Yeah, right here. It's just me and my producer Glenn and a camera. Buckle up. We don't know where in the mall the shots were fired. We don't know what's going on. It looks like a security guard. I'm going to see what he knows. Turns out he wasn't a security guard. He was just a guy in a blue suit. We still have zero information. Where do we go next? I have no idea. My gut says that way. Come on! I see an ambulance! Confirmed ambulance site! You'll see the space by the curb where an ambulance was parked just moments ago.
You have any idea where the shooter is? I was being stonewalled by police, but I couldn't let that stop me.
I spoke to a woman who said that she saw a man being escorted through the mall by police. Could this be the shooter? According to the description, he was a male, aged somewhere between 20 and 60. He's either Caucasian or part Latino or something like that. He was wearing some kind of a jacket. And I wrote something else here, but he got smudged. However, that information later turned out to be false. The shooter, if there is one, remains at large. Needless to say, our thoughts are with the victims here today, if there are any, which we don't know yet.
This is the Onion News Network.
We're still not sure why you'd want to watch, but our video feed is streaming nightly for free at cam.freetalklive.com. Free Talk Live.
It is Free Talk Live. 603-283-6160 is our number to call. You can talk about anything you want because it is an open phones radio program like it was meant to be. This is what it means. You don't have to talk about what the hosts are talking about. You can talk about anything you like. And we like that. We like having the freedom to give you the chance to air what other hosts may not talk about. In studio, it is Chris.
And Bonnie.
And we are going to wait until the dump button builds up and take some phone calls. We've been talking about the, of course, I feel like we're talking about this every night, the shooting of the United Health CEO, Brian Thompson in New York, and talking about the arrest of what sounds to some like a made-up name, Luigi Mangione.
And the first thing I thought of, because I watched King of the Hill, was Chuck Mangione. That's the only reason I know who he is. Apparently he plays a trumpet.
Yes,
but I said...
I've seen him in concert. He was very, very good.
I said saxophone the other day on the show, and I was like, wait, I'm crazy. It's not saxophone.
A very good artist. We're going to go to the phones where we've got Turd Ferguson. Turd, you're on Free Talk Live. Wrong one. I'll get back to you.
I did that the other day.
Hit the wrong one. Turd, you're on Free Talk Live.
There you go. Now you buzzed me in. I was like, why am I not hearing the buzz? And I knew that you didn't buzz me in fact, but I appreciate you doing that.
Thank
the other
you
day,
for
I
critiquing the old man.
The other day I did that, and I was like, well, I already I feel bad because I buzzed this person. But then I felt bad because I said someone's name and talked to someone else.
There we go. We know who the other caller is.
Yeah.
We'll get an opportunity to talk to him.
He doesn't matter as much as Turd.
He
Turd
will
matters.
It's open phones. Bonnie, he will get his 15 seconds of fame. So go ahead, Turd.
Well, I just wanted to call in because I saw, I actually just tuned in a few minutes ago, but I did see the title on the episode was about healthcare. And that's a subject that I've got opinions on that, you know what I mean? So
let's hear 'em.
Just calling in to voice them. And I've been pretty upset that people are cheering on murderers in this country. I don't think that's good. I think that's just another symptom of the collapse of Western society, which I've called it about quite a bit over the past few years. But I will say, though, that look, I don't like the healthcare system in this country. I'm no shill for it, and I know people like to pretend that I am. And that couldn't be further from the truth. I really don't like it, actually.
Wait, a shill
But-
for healthcare? Why would people think that you are?
Because, well, like, just for example, like, I got in this little tussle on Facebook earlier. I mean, I mean, I shouldn't even be on that stupid, idiotic platform anymore.
You shouldn't.
But this one blue-haired hottie, because there are some, believe it or not, there are some blue-haired hotties that still exist in this world that unfortunately voted for Kamala Harris. But she, I was like, your opinion is really idiotic, and it's a terrible, idiotic take because you're basically cheering on a murderer.
Not a good way to pick up blue-haired hotties. Don't say that
well,
next time.
I know, but look, dude, I mean, I agree with that, but once I come across such a bad take, I just can't help myself. I have to just shut this down. Like, because I don't want to see that, it's obnoxious. It makes my stomach hurt when I see crap like that.
Like, what was exactly her take?
Well, her take was like, the billionaire meanies, and I'm so glad to see the billionaire meanies get gunned down by an innocent little baby angel. And I'm just like, God, Jesus, this take sucks. And I was just like, first of all, this guy's not even a billionaire. This guy's not even 100 millionaire. I think the net worth of this guy, the moment that he got shot, was somewhere around $40 million or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Which
it's not really important.
Yeah.
I
could
agree
believe
with
it,
you.
though.
I agree with you. I don't support anybody taking life. That's not right.
Right. Yeah, right. Just over, especially when the reasoning for this chick only goes as deep as, well, he has a lot of money. That's not fair.
I know. I agree. It's so obnoxious, and it's like, and it also started with like I'm so sick of people not wanting the billionaire. Like, this is like almost what she said. She was like, I'm so sick of people not wanting the billionaires to be gunned down in the street. I'm like, what the hell is going on here? I'm like, you're talking about billionaires not like they're not human beings, but some like aliens from outer space that we shouldn't care about because they're like a subpar organism. And I mean, this is.
I think he's a little subhuman, but not that much. Want to know why? Do you want to know why?
Yeah, I want to know why. It's been built up so long.
Well, I just heard like a noise and it sounded like somebody joined a Jitsi room. Do you know what I'm saying? That kind of a noise. Anyways, that was weird. And I got a little confused.
The ghost
you guys
of
didn't hear
Mark.
it?
No,
Yeah.
I didn't hear it.
And anyways, so I was saying, I think that he is a little less than human. And the fact is because he joined a company that isn't just, he's a part of the free market and he wants to be the head of a company and make everybody's lives better, because that's how I feel about real capitalists. But this man joined an industry that is weaved in with the government to be held up in a certain way to where he's always going to make that $11 million a year. And
10. You're exaggerating. You only made 10 a year.
But they're literally fascist and propped up with the government. They are parasites, whether or not they are literal government employees. I just don't think his actions rise to the level of he deserves murder. I also don't feel bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Bonnie, I like mostly agree with what you just said, to be honest. But I got to tell you, I just don't think that gunning down. I mean, look, I don't think this guy's a good person, but he is an innocent person, and I don't think that gunning down innocent people in the street is going to solve anything. And
we've got government doing that anyway.
Well, I guess the word innocent is too vague here, because he's innocent of anything that's worth murdering him for, to my knowledge. Like, he might have done something the night before that I don't know about, but he's not like completely innocent of anything, because he is joined a mafia and he, takes money from people, including the theft of taxation, and that's why he's not 100% innocent. I just don't think it's just like, if I was innocent of stealing if I was guilty of stealing a candy bar, I wouldn't be an innocent person, but I also wouldn't be deserving of getting killed.
Right. And I mean, I I realize that a lot of our listeners don't remember life before Obamacare, but before Obamacare, we had lower healthcare costs.
Yeah, I know. And
Before
that's the other thing.
they decided
that's
to
the other
save
thing I
us
wanted-
money. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's the other thing I wanted to talk about. I mean, look, I've got some suggestions for the people that don't like health insurance. And look, I don't like health insurance either, quite frankly. I think it's a scam and a ripoff, and I'd recommend people don't buy it. And as a matter of fact, what I'd recommend is to take Ron Paul's advice. I read Ron Paul's campaign book a really long. I mean, I've read it several times, but the first time a very, very long time ago. And in his campaign book, The Revolution, he writes about this, and he talks about how about the health insurance scam in this country. And if you really want to get the most for your money when it comes to taking care of your health, this is what you should do. You should take the money that you would otherwise be spending on health insurance and instead invest it in a health savings account. And then when you do and pay all your standard doctor's visits, standard dentist visits, just pay for it out of pocket. And then, but if you need a surgery if you need some kind of operation, well, what you should do is you should go overseas to a country like India that still has very good Western trained doctors,
right?
And get the procedure done for about a tenth of the price. And more often than not, probably 99% of the time, your health savings account will reimburse these foreign operations that you can get in other countries done by Western trained doctors of the same quality. And while you're over there,
your savings account will pay you back for something you paid for?
Well, that's the purpose of a health savings account. You've put money into it. You could use that money to do that. It's good advice. Any last thoughts, Turd?
Yeah. Well, I mean, and before you hang up on me, because
I'm not going to hang up on you.
Okay, yeah, let's just postpone Skeeter's call for as long as possible.
Oh, no, that's not fair.
Wait, didn't you want to have Turd, didn't you want to be on with Skeeter? Or wait, no, you wanted to be on with Jerome.
Yeah, well, I don't mind being on with Skeeter. If you want to hold me over, I don't mind. But
do you want him to be on with Skeeter?
Oh,
be better than talking to just Skeeter.
Do I just hit this button too, and they're both there?
Yeah, you just also answer Skeeter's call.
Okay, well, Turd, you agreed to it.
All right.
Earlier.
Release the Kraken!
No, it dropped him. No, dang it. All right.
You want to talk about IP? You want me to destroy your live air about IP?
You've got 30 seconds.
I might have lied.
You've got 30 seconds.
But
Go
anyways,
ahead.
I do agree. Well, I do partially agree that anyone involved in the insurance industry is a criminal.
Mm-hmm.
Because it breeds inefficiency, right? And by the way, Turd, I just lost a bet with insurance. I took your advice.
See, I don't have Turd on with you. I could try this again.
I don't know what's wrong.
Oh well.
That's okay.
Well. But
you
anyways,
can try it again.
I'm giving you 15 extra seconds.
No. This is not really what I want to talk about.
What do you mean you lost a bet with insurance? What does that mean that you lost a bet with insurance? I just realized what the noise was. It's like somebody sitting at that stop sign outside of the building, and then they take off, and it's like zoom. It kind of sounds like that. Zoom.
The
Jitsi
intro.
I took Turd's advice, and I tried to self-insure. So I bet I didn't take out insurance on a package I was sending out for my mom because I managed her portfolio, and then it contained like $10,000 worth of goods of hers. And then it looks like I sent it express because, I had all the incentive to make sure it gets there quick since I didn't have insurance. But it seems to be lost.
So
looks like I'm going to lose that bet, and that's the risk of self-insuring.
Did you send it via United Healthcare? Instead of UPS, did you have United Healthcare take care of this?
United Healthcare, is that the company of that CEO? I don't know.
Yeah.
All right. Last thought?
It's USPS. But no, that's not what I wanted to talk about. You guys keep criticizing everybody about that jet guy, and you guys keep criticizing our legal system. Do you realize how hard it is to make law? Right? I try to ask you guys about laws concerning minors, and you guys are all scrambling all over the place.
If it's so
tripping over
hard, they
yourselves.
should just quit their jobs.
You've never asked me that once, so don't lump me into this.
Okay, Chris, what's the definition of self-ownership? What's the definition of ownership?
I own myself.
That's just the extension of it.
If you
What's the
don't know
definition of
this by
ownership?
now, why would you even care?
He thinks the fact that
No, I'm asking you.
3-year-olds
I never asked you.
need to be stopped physically from if they're going to run right in front of a car, he thinks that's bam, self-ownership doesn't exist now. Oh, gotcha. He legitimately, that's his argument.
Like if they want, if they can, let's say they're a child star and they can afford an automatic weapon.
Yes.
Can I stop him?
No, he's going to shoot you.
Let's say I'm his parent. He wants to buy it. There's a dealer. There's a willing ANCAP dealer willing to sell him a fully automatic Uzi.
Of course you can stop him. You can stop your kid from being on a swimming team even if they're a star swimmer just because you can't afford it and don't want to pay for it. So, what a dumb question.
What?
Just because your kid can do something doesn't mean you're forced to pay for it or allow them to do it.
Hold on. This is why I wanted to establish the definition of ownership. So can someone please define me the definition of ownership? Let me put this definition out for you because I think it's purely ANCAP, right? It's the ability, if something is owned by somebody, they can control every aspect of it, right?
Yeah,
There's
but
no
the thing is,
exclusion from
you
any
define
aspect
somebody
of
as
control from-
anybody in utero to 1,000 years old, and that's not the way people would agree to define that.
Well, that's how you apply definitions, Bonnie. So let me
You apply it to everyone, no matter what. That's how you apply definitions, Bonnie.
Well, I would like to
let me ask
apply it to
Chris,
real life situations. Give me a real life
Chris, do
situation.
you agree with that? Hold on, Chris. Do you agree with that definition?
I have no
At
idea
least
what you tried to
provisional.
define. You said ownership is.
So someone.
Go
when
ahead.
When someone owns a piece of property, they have every right to control every aspect of that piece of property
And to defend it.
But there is an exclusion to that. If you're on someone else's if you're on someone else's property, right?
Yeah, dude,
you
gave
kind of
you
agree with
30
that?
seconds 3 minutes ago.
Stop.
He just wants to ask if he can, if you're allowed to stop a 3-year-old from running in front of a car, and then you're going to say obviously, and he's going to say no, you're going against the definition. That's how he says no.
Yeah, exactly. So if that's the definition of ownership,
And I just explained it to you, it's because you're defining this as applying to people who are retarded, people who are under a certain age where they haven't shown that they have the faculties to understand what's going on in the world, and that matters.
It doesn't matter, Bonnie.
Yes, it does.
I'm just applying. You can.
Okay, you're
introduce new
applying
terminology, try to get
definitions
around
that
it.
nobody else on the entire planet agrees with. Good for you.
Let me just try Chris for a second. I've already been through this with you.
I don't think he
already.
wants to.
Let me just see how Chris navigates through this dilemma. Because I don't think he can.
Well, what about from what you've just heard without Skeeter adding anything?
Oh, man, my finger slipped. Dang it. That's how I negotiate that situation. I've heard these arguments before, and I truly believe that somewhere deep down there is probably a solid thought, or at least an explanation. You offered me one before. Maybe that is something to do with it. I don't know. We're going to go back to the phones where we've got Chuck in Washington. Chuck, you're on Free Talk Live.
Yeah, I wanted to get into a discussion since everybody's talking about CEOs and, the top man on the totem pole. What do y'all think about the city manager form of government?
What does that mean?
I've never lived in a town that had a city manager.
I do right now, and they suck. I gave a complaint to her, and she was so sarcastic. And dumb about
Elizabeth Dragon? That's Keene's
it. Her last name is Dragon, like an evil dragon.
Oh my God.
Fire-breathing dragon, yes.
So you're talking about an executive as opposed to a committee or a commission or a city council or something like that being the executive of a place. And I'm not sure where you're at in Washington, but explain to me what it means to you.
Well, first of all, I want to just kind of put context in this whole thing. I'm a listener on K2X in Needles, California.
Okay.
It carries Free Talk Live, and they have the city manager form of government.
Okay.
And we're talking about a population about, I'm probably wrong, but I'm going to say 5,000 people or something like that.
Okay.
They pay a city manager $200,000 a year to manage the city of Needles, California.
In California, that sounds about right. Actually, it sounds a little low for a bureaucrat, but go ahead.
And they pay the city council $1 per year.
That surprises me.
Yeah, because they do something like that to the New Hampshire House of Representatives. I think it's $200, but a year.
They make $100 a year.
Oh, $100?
But every.
And I like that because it's like, well, you kind of have to have your crap together in your life. You have to be somebody who really wants to do it, and not just like a homeless guy off the street who thinks, I have really good ideas.
So I have been involved in, and New England has like a sort of unique form of government in most towns. When I say towns, I mean towns that are less than like 25,000 people. It's called selectmen, and in New Hampshire, you can have a board of selectmen. It's either 3 or 5. It's always an odd number, and those 3 people are the executives of a small town. The people are the legislature. They're the ones that vote on legislation and make budgets and things like that. So that's how it works out here. Some cities and some towns actually choose to have a city manager, even though they have these selectmen. So the selectmen kind of handle the bigger, administrative decisions, and the city manager sort of is involved in the day-to-day operations of running stuff. So that's how it works out here. I'm not really opposed to it, other than the fact that I'm sort of opposed to government. I don't think we need any of it. I think people can just take care of it themselves.
Well, and that's precisely my point here. It's the city manager form of government. You're talking about that East Coast, and I've studied the city manager form of government for almost 20 years now. And the East Coast, there's some differences between that application of the East Coast and the West Coast. And on the West Coast, it tends to be, let's do what Needles, California is doing, pretty much giving the power to one CEO for the city.
Right.
And that's a lot of power. And you have a lot of, with that power comes a lot of assignments for committees, for their planning commissions and different kinds of things. So what I'm saying is this whole $200,000 bureaucracy is a bunch of fat that the city council, I think, could handle if they got at least $40,000 a year or something like that. Well, I don't know.
Yeah, it could be done. And a lot of towns in New Hampshire do exactly that. Some of them choose to hire a town manager, a city manager, and they dump a lot of stuff on them. But in like my town, the selectmen just do everything themselves. So they have to meet once a week, and they have to make all these decisions. And it's not really that hard, because anything.
Well, it sounds like a lot of responsibility and time too, and investing in time, of course. So
it is. So I'm other than my gut reaction, which is people can just handle their own lives, and there's nothing I ever did as a selectman that people couldn't have done for themselves.
Like what kind of things did you do?
Like deciding to, how much money are we going to spend on our sanitation or our dump. That's what we had, and why do people need that? They could just call any of a number of companies and do that.
How much does that town spend on their dump button?
That's a good question. Hey, Chuck, thanks for the call. 603-283-6160. Give us a call. We're taking calls. We want to hear what's on your mind. If it's city managers or shooting CEOs, it's up to you. This is Free Talk Live.
It It was a big night for music's hottest acts, especially for Lord Chillingsworth. In a shocking upset, the young artist took home the spookiest Halloween sound effect album Grammy for Creepy Night in Halloween Manor. Music blogger Ty Vaughn is here. Ty, what a shocker.
Lord Chillingsworth's track, Man Being Boiled Alive While Chains Rattle in a Dungeon, was crazy spooky. It was everywhere this year. Haunted houses, Halloween stores, nighttime hayrides. Anywhere you look, people were getting the willies from this album.
But a lot of people thought Grammy darling Dr. Spookenstein was a shoo-in to win for his album Laboratory of Madness.
And that was a great album. Critics praised Spookenstein's stripped-down approach, rattling real bones together and dripping real blood onto a screaming lady.
The class act Spookenstein offered a gracious congratulations to Chillingsworth, saying, "I'm a fan of every bloody who was nominated, especially Chillingsworth. I have a skeleton ton of respect for him as an artist. I just saw him on the red carpet and congratulated him."
This is the Onion News Network.
From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Nick Harper. FBI Director Christopher Wray says he will resign before President-elect Donald Trump takes office. It comes just days after Trump announced his intentions to replace Wray. FSN's Kate Fisher reports from Washington.
In an interview over the weekend, Trump said he was very unhappy with the things that Wray had done. Under Wray's tenure, the FBI's investigated Trump, including assisting in a federal probe into his handling of classified documents. In a Truth Social post, Trump said that Wray's resignation is, quote, "a great day for America." In announcing that he would step down, Christopher Wray said he believed it would be the best way to avoid dragging the Bureau deeper into the fray. Trump says he wants to appoint Kash Patel as his replacement. He's a longtime loyalist who's called for dramatically limiting the FBI's authority.
The man accused of trying to assassinate Donald Trump on his Florida golf course is looking to delay his trial until December 2025. His lawyers say Ryan Ruth is considering an insanity defense. His team says the extraordinary volume of evidence and material that needs to be examined ahead of the trial means he can't stand trial for another 12 months. His trial date is currently scheduled for February the 10th. US police say fingerprints found at the scene of the murder of United Healthcare's CEO match those of the suspect, Luigi Mangione. He was arrested last week after the killing in New York. Meanwhile, he's fighting extradition from Pennsylvania to Manhattan. FSN's Sally Patterson has more.
Luigi Mangione struggled with officers as he was led into a Pennsylvania courthouse. The 26-year-old shouted to reporters, "It's an insult to the intelligence of the American people." He's accused of shooting Brian Thompson in New York, who worked for America's largest insurance company. Mangione grew up in Baltimore, Maryland, where he attended Gilman School, an all-boys private school. Sources told media that investigators have started interviewing members of his family.
A wildfire continues to threaten the US city of Malibu, destroying at least 7 homes and forcing thousands to evacuate the coastal enclave in Southern California. More than 1,500 firefighters are trying to control the blaze, which began on Monday night and quickly spread due to windy conditions. FSN's Ira Spitzer reports from California.
California officials said the Franklin fire grew by 39% on Wednesday night and has now burned more than 3,900 acres or 1,500 hectares with 7% containment. At least 7 homes have been destroyed and 9 damaged, and the fire is burning near several residential neighborhoods and an RV park. The blaze has forced thousands to leave their homes in the wealthy enclave east of LA, including celebrities such as Dick Van Dyke and Cher.
From Bureaus Worldwide, this is FSN.
You can help spread the ideas of liberty with our Patreon for just $5 per month at amps.freetalklive.com.
It is Free Talk Live. Thank you. Now we're in hour number 2 already. This night is going quickly, but there's plenty of time for you to get on the air. All you got to do is call 603-283-6160. We'll take your call. We take everybody's call. That's what I like about it. But first, I wanted to remind you that not your coins, not your keys, not your Bitcoin. It's a lesson that too many learn the hard way. It's always best to get your crypto into a wallet that you control, but not all wallets are equal. Many of our hosts have been using Edge for years to manage crypto, and there just aren't that many wallets to compare. Featuring a unique login system that makes it easy for you to access your crypto on multiple devices, Edge is designed to be user-friendly in a space that can be notoriously difficult for non-tech people. Edge is a valuable tool for novices and experts alike. You can learn more at edge.app, which features a link at the top for those who wish to learn more about crypto and wallets. And I want to say thank you to Edge for sponsoring Free Talk Live. Again, that is edge.app. That's edge.app. My name's Chris. I'm in studio. I'm joined by
Bonnie.
And we have been talking healthcare and CEOs getting shot and the guys that allegedly shoot the CEOs and the high cost of healthcare in America. We had a caller, when Turd was talking, I mean, there's a lot to talk about in the insurance game. And, being 400 or 500 years old, I do remember various stages of healthcare. And when I was growing up, I don't know if I've ever...
Bloodletting?
Yes, leeches and all that good stuff. No, I mean, I remember talking about this a lot with the advent of Obamacare, and when we had to go to the doctor for anything, for a checkup or a school physical, you're taking sports, you had to get a physical done, you go to the doctor. My mom would run by the hardware store that we owned, and she'd get the checkbook from my dad, and she'd run us to our appointments. And if we needed to go to the dentist, my mom would load us in the car and run by the store and get the checkbook from my dad. And the idea was these were regular, ordinary things, like going to the doctor, getting a prescription. You just paid for them then. And that was it. As a family, my dad had some kind of catastrophic health insurance, so that if anybody were ever hospitalized, he did pay for some insurance to cover those big events, and those were the things you hope would never occur. But for everything else, we paid out of pocket, and this was a middle-class income. That's what we did. And it began to get more expensive and more expensive as insurance became more prevalent in society, where initially the idea of health insurance was something that they would add on to like a CEOs or, the big kahunas in a company. That would be a fringe benefit. They would have healthcare coverage, so they didn't have to worry about this stuff. And then
now it's like everyone deserves it for any job they do.
It's a human right. Everybody must have it. And I remember, during Obamacare, Obama was big on this, man. We're going to lower the cost of health insurance because they felt that the cost of health insurance was rising during Obama's administration, around 2009, 2010. Yes, it was rising, but it's nothing compared to what happens when it's free. Health insurance distorts the marketplace. It distorts it. It makes people believe that they have coverage for everything they have. Anything they need, healthcare is there, and they don't care how much it actually costs because, hey, somebody else is paying for it. Which is completely false. They are the ones paying for it. They're paying through taxation and everything else.
And it's so complicated when you sign up. Here's my little health insurance story. I didn't have health insurance, so I joined the workforce in a serious way, let's say, in 2015. And I didn't have health insurance that year, 16, 17, maybe even 18. And then I'm doing my taxes for either 19 or 18. And it asked me on the last question, I'm like, oh, cool, I'm getting like $1,200 back. And then it's the very last question on TurboTax. Okay. And it was like, how many months did you not have health insurance? And I'm like, all of them. Okay, next. And it's like, subtract $600. For like some amount for every month I didn't have health insurance. It penalized me.
Yes.
And I was like, next year I'm going to lie. But instead of that, my sister convinced me, she's like, it's not that hard. Just call and get Obamacare. I have Obamacare. It's only $30 a month.
Yeah.
And it was like it's so complicated to even learn which one's the better one. What exactly am I insured for? So I had that exact feeling that you're explaining. Like, I guess I'm insured for like whatever happens now.
Right.
You know, instead of thinking I need to make sure I have a savings for if this blah 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 happens. I was just like, I mean, I have health insurance. It did like nothing for me.
Right. And for young people, they shouldn't really be that concerned with healthcare. You shouldn't. You're young. Things don't really add up to much when you're unless you got a vaccine and now you have, some heart condition. But no, it was, and that was the view when I was growing up was, healthcare, you don't even need that until you get old, and then you need it. But even then, the distortion, the fact that I remember there was this was during Obamacare, but a guy he was a doctor, and he's like, I really wonder how much we pay for this stuff, because I know how much money I get back, but can't we just call somebody up and find out how much?
A doctor is saying that?
A doctor saying that, because
Wow.
a doctor honestly had no way of knowing how much money he was going to make. So he had somebody in his office just make some phone calls to insurance companies, and the range was so crazy, and it's still that way today. An appendectomy could be $1,000. It could be $10,000. It just doesn't follow any rhyme or reason, and they're all paying something different. It's all based on how much money they're going to get back from government at this point. And we have a third party managing the two parties involved in healthcare decisions, which should be, in an ideal world, the patient and the doctor. And now you have this insurance company, because now everyone has to have insurance because of Obamacare, and we're insuring people that were never insured before, like people that are 25 years old and in good health. It's insane, and it's not going to get any better. These things were inevitable. We saw all this.
Do you get any benefits, like if you've been paying $30 a month for 5 years now, and now you're 30 because you got it when you were 25? Do you get like some kind of extra benefits for paying longer than somebody who didn't start until they were 40?
Of course not.
Wow.
There's nothing like that. There's no money coming back, because the whole system doesn't make fiscal sense in the first place. There's no way to look at this and say this is a good idea for a company, for a country. And so, this has happened. This is socialism light.
You don't think there would be really any insurance company that would exist in a free market without government like backing it up, bailing it out?
I'm saying for decades it existed without it. Mm-hmm. And it never got expensive until government got involved, until they started requiring that every employer must provide health care to its employees.
Because somebody, I don't remember, like a caller or something, said to us on the phone recently, health insurance, I think it was actually Skeeter, so it doesn't even matter, but health insurance wouldn't exist in a free market anyway. And I was just like, I think it probably would.
I think it would. I think if we truly had a free market, it would be more like when I was growing up, where you paid for everything out of pocket that you could, and you had some type of catastrophic health care to handle you if you had to go into a hospital and be laid up for a long time. I think that system worked fine, and we've just abandoned that and just gone on the wishes. I mean, everything I want. Basically, what Americans want is they want health care for low or no cost. They want their choice of provider. They want to go to any doctor they want. And they want everything to be covered.
And they want all these extra stuff that, like, if you had to pay for every single little intervention, you might be like, I think I'll pass on that shot you're going to give me, or whatever.
Right.
And instead they're like, yeah, I'll get that too. And then the doctors and nurses are like, all right, I'm happy to give get more money.
Well, that's $200 we get from Medicare or Medicaid or the government or Obamacare. And
yep, if I give you 10 pills instead of the one you need.
Yeah, it's insane, and I'm at the point where I actually do need more health care, and it's more expensive. I mean, it's absurdly more expensive at this point. The idea, if I were ever laid up for any amount of time, I'm just going to say 10 days, that would be $30,000-$40,000 in healthcare costs. I'm just spitballing, but I'm guessing that's going to be about what it is. How could we ever how could anyone ever handle that on their own with this system? And back in the day, that might have been a $5,000 cost in today's world, adjusted for ridiculous inflation. And I don't know. People are just suckers, man. When government comes out and says, we'll do this for you and it'll be free, and oh, well, yeah, you're going to have to pay for it through taxes, but don't worry. I mean, it'll be free. I mean, why would anyone not like that? And we're just, as a country, we're a country of suckers, and we keep falling for the same crap out of Washington.
And it's always like they fall for the guy that says something where it sounds like he just cares. He just actually cares more than everybody else. Like Obama just cared about you.
Well, hope and change, Bonnie. I mean, that's what...
I think care was another one.
Well, it was implied. I mean,
maybe Obamacare.
Yeah, Obamacare. Yeah, there you go.
Obamacare, because Obama cares. Oh, my God.
It was so bad. And all these things, back then, as a conservative, I was saying, this is going to blow up huge. Healthcare costs are going to go through the ceiling. And then guess what? Here we are 10 years later, and guess what healthcare costs did? Yeah, it's to the point right now that no one can exist without government handouts, which I think is kind of the point.
They want them dependent.
Yeah, and if we make everybody dependent on us, then we will never get thrown out of office. And then they lose the big bucks.
And then people start to just live that way. Like, they don't have the memory that you do of like your mom getting a pocketbook to literally pay for these services that day.
Yeah.
They just think that's how it is. How am I supposed to pay for my kids' checkups? Because they just are so used to doing insurance and not even knowing how much anything costs. They're just like, it's probably like $1 billion. Well, that's why these people are probably like billionaires.
And at the same time, insurance companies have grown extremely wealthy. I mean, insurance used to be one of those jobs like banking. It just wasn't sexy. And if you worked for an insurance company, that was pretty boring too. I mean, come on. And now you've got CEOs making $10-20 million. I mean, they're running, and the healthcare company that me and my wife worked for, I mean, I think our CEO was up around $1 million, but we were only like an $8 billion company.
And yours was healthcare?
Dental care.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I Googled how much is the average that a CEO gets paid, and it was like $1 million. And then I was like, oh, that seems like low. And then I Googled how much does the average healthcare CEO get paid in the United States, and it was $11 million.
Right.
So
yeah,
maybe dentist is different. I don't know.
Well, no, not really. I think
you're just a smaller company.
Well, $8 billion wasn't really a small company, but and that was again going back to like 2012 and stuff like that.
Yeah. Because I think that one specifically said like the numbers I was pulling up were like specifically 2022 or something.
Yeah, and I have no doubt that it's grown. So why are CEOs now worth $10-11 million a year? It's because it is such a lucrative business. And the only way to really, in insurance, you can trim costs by using technology, coming up with ways to process claims more affordably, or you can deny more claims. And if you can increase the number of claims that you're denying, that is a huge way. I mean, then you're stopping money going out the door. And that is pretty much what United Healthcare has latched onto at 32% of all claims are denied, and that's an insane amount. Imagine, like, if you went to your insurance company, it's like, you'll pay for this, right? Like, well, like 1 out of 3 times we'll pay for it.
I heard that the United Healthcare, the specific one that guy, Brian Thompson was the CEO of, was denying something like 50% of claims.
It was a high number. And with healthcare, I mean, there was a John Grisham book a long time ago. They might have made it into a movie, but it was just this idea that this health insurer was just denying every claim. Every claim.
And they didn't, there were people they were insuring weren't talking to each other, obviously.
Well,
not likely, so they just didn't know?
No, they just kind of denied everything, and I think it was the whistleblower or something like that. But eventually, news got out, and everybody was furious, and people went to jail. Actually, when this is fiction, because like important, powerful people actually went to jail.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is it's the way the system is designed. And now that government is involved in every healthcare decision, and tells insurers what they can and cannot do, insurance companies are going to do absolutely everything they can that benefits them.
And that brings me to a really good point that there's just so much to talk about with this case with the United Healthcare CEO guy that this thought hadn't even really crossed my mind, but it's really important. Government is ultimately responsible. I mean, the person who shot him is the most responsible for this guy's death, but government is largely responsible for this guy's death because they've made a situation where people are frustrated because they're being scammed. The Obamacare healthcare system we have in the United States, that's one reason they're responsible. Another reason is because of the way that the cops are set up. Well, people don't have any kind of recourse to do things like go to someone's house and be like, hey man, you are denying all my family members' claims and I want to fight or something like that.
Right.
You can't do anything that would get you arrested. You have no recourse when somebody's doing anything wrong except to tell the police about it. And what are they going to do? Nothing. So that's why the government is at least a large part responsible for, they've incentivized violence at this point. They've killed tons of people with their healthcare system. They have scammed almost everyone with this healthcare system, and now they're even starting to incentivize violence against people.
True, and they've made the whole situation where if the shooter were that upset, couldn't he just take it to court? And that system is set up so that he will never be able to afford to win.
Because of the lawyer parasites.
Yes, and because of the court parasites and the idea that you're going to go up against a multi-billion-dollar company who has unlimited pockets. I mean, they can, how many lawyers do we need to throw against this guy until he goes away? And they'll do that until they reach a point of the legal cost exceeding the cost of the claim, and then they'll say, okay, after you've spent all your money, we'll do the surgery, or we'll allow the claim to go through.
And at that point, how is that even worth it when your whole entire point of going after them is that they're forcing you to pay too much money?
Right, but then they'll come around and they'll make it all good, and you'll sign something that says that I agree not to talk about this, and that'll be the end of it. And this is the system we have. And where does it begin? It begins with Richard Nixon allowing employers to be responsible for healthcare back in the 70s. And then it is all the incremental building on until we hit Obamacare, where we now have basically a one-payer system, and it's just wrong.
What is a one-payer system?
The idea that every healthcare program, every healthcare need is paid for by one payer, i.e. the government. That's what we have in socialist countries like Canada. I mean, their healthcare is completely paid for. I was reading a statistic today where it used to be an average of something like 9.6 weeks. This is like 2 or 3 years ago, between a Canadian doctor writing a referral to a specialist because you needed to see a specialist. It would be an average of 9.6 weeks until you could see them.
Whoa.
That was a couple years ago. Now it's over 27
weeks.
So people are waiting over half a year before they can see a specialist.
Whoa.
That could be a cardiac specialist. That could be something really serious, which is why we have so much influx of people looking for medicine coming across the river into Detroit, because they can't get it in Canada. And you have a whole industry of medical tourism springing up in Mexico and India, as Turd talked about.
Korea and Turkey for cosmetic surgeries.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that a thing?
Korea and Turkey, yeah.
I'll remember that next time I need some cosmetic surgery. Yeah, and the U.S. is just out of. I mean, if you're in a socialist country like Canada or in the U.K., then you're kind of stuck. You're going to spend, but who can afford to travel the globe to get medical procedures done? Wealthy people.
Sometimes it isn't even necessarily the case that they're super wealthy. It's just that, I can save up this amount of money that is about the. It's just. If somebody really wants to get something done, they have like the incentive, then, I could save up like a $2,000, which you would think is just like what you need for like a flight out of the country and back. And then like it's such a small trivial amount to also pay for your healthcare thing
right
on top of that. So, yeah.
That's crazy. I'm surprised that
I hear about it all the time with the plastic surgery stuff. I'm always like, wouldn't it be so expensive to leave your country and get like those type of fake teeth that go on your teeth or something like that. But it's just like the amount is so much lower for the procedure in that country.
Right.
They're really determined, so they're going to save up the money. Like, I'll stop drinking on the weekends or something. Save up the money to fly out there, and then it's just like a little bit more if I want this surgery. And sometimes it's like really looks too, like. And this is the thing, I always see these cosmetic surgery ones just because I'm like a girl on YouTube. I get served stuff that interests me. Like, I like to watch videos about, here's a picture of a celebrity's face and here's what they looked like 5 years ago. Here's what surgeries I think she got and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm sure it happens the same way with just things like heart surgery or whatever.
Right. Why wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's interesting that millions of, this is the point of a free market. And we have a free market, just not in this country. The free market is you can, now that we have air travel and things like that, you can exercise free market principles by traveling to other countries that don't suck as bad as this one, or don't suck as bad as Canada, or all kinds of stuff like that. It's ridiculous. Looking back over my life, coming from something where I had extremely high medical costs at various points, I broke my back. That wasn't cheap.
Wow. Oh, yeah. You flew a car.
I flew a car. Didn't land it well. 603-283-6160 is the number to call to get on the air and to talk about what's on your mind. This is Free Talk Live.
A congressman recently revealed that legislation totaling 2,900 pages and involving more than $1 trillion was available to members of Congress for less than 48 hours to study and consider. That's over 60 pages of legislation per hour. Do you think anyone read the entire bill? I'm Jim Babka with DownsizeDC.org. Consider a proposal buried in a 3,200-page, $388 billion bill, which would have empowered committee chairmen or their agents to examine Americans' tax returns. When this horrible provision came to light, no one claimed to know how it got into the bill. One congressman questioned said, "I didn't write it, I didn't approve it, I wasn't even consulted." If your attorney represented you this way, he might be disbarred. But this is how Congress represents you every day. That's why DownsizeDC.org has created the Read the Bills Act. You can force Congress to read their bills before they pass them at DownsizeDC.org.
There are basically two types of advertising, direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. Chat.lrn.fm.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Nick Harper. FBI Director Christopher Wray says he will resign before President-elect Donald Trump takes office. It comes just days after Trump announced his intentions to replace Wray. FSN's Kate Fisher reports from Washington.
In an interview over the weekend, Trump said he was very unhappy with the things that Wray had done. Under Wray's tenure, the FBI's investigated Trump, including assisting in a federal probe into his handling of classified documents. In a Truth Social post, Trump said that Wray's resignation is, quote, a great day for America. In announcing that he would step down, Christopher Wray said he believed it would be the best way to avoid dragging the Bureau deeper into the fray. Trump says he wants to appoint Kash Patel as his replacement. He's a longtime loyalist who's called for dramatically limiting the FBI's authority.
The man accused of trying to assassinate Donald Trump on his Florida golf course is looking to delay his trial until December 2025. His lawyers say Ryan Ruth is considering an insanity defense. His team says the extraordinary volume of evidence and material that needs to be examined ahead of the trial means he can't stand trial for another 12 months. His trial date is currently scheduled for February the 10th. US police say fingerprints found at the scene of the murder of United Healthcare's CEO match those of the suspect, Luigi Mangione. He was arrested last week after the killing in New York. Meanwhile, he's fighting extradition from Pennsylvania to Manhattan. FSN's Sally Patterson has more.
Luigi Mangione struggled with officers as he was led into a Pennsylvania courthouse. The 26-year-old shouted to reporters, "It's an insult to the intelligence of the American people." He's accused of shooting Brian Thompson in New York, who worked for America's largest insurance company. Mangione grew up in Baltimore, Maryland, where he attended Gilman School, an all-boys private school. Sources told media that investigators have started interviewing members of his family.
A wildfire continues to threaten the US city of Malibu, destroying at least 7 homes and forcing thousands to evacuate the coastal enclave in Southern California. More than 1,500 firefighters are trying to control the blaze, which began on Monday night and quickly spread due to windy conditions. FSN's Ira Spitzer reports from California.
California officials said the Franklin fire grew by 39% on Wednesday night and has now burned more than 3,900 acres or 1,500 hectares with 7% containment. At least 7 homes have been destroyed and 9 damaged, and the fire is burning near several residential neighborhoods and an RV park. The blaze has forced thousands to leave their homes in the wealthy enclave east of LA, including celebrities such as Dick Van Dyke and Cher.
From Bureaus Worldwide, this is FSN.
With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks, with more today on Syria and the leader of the HTS rebels who ousted Bashar al-Assad from power last weekend. His name is Abu Muhammad al-Jolani, although that is a nom de guerre, redolent of the fact that his movement is still designated a terrorist organization by the United States. But he says he's put his desire for violent jihad behind him and now wants to play a role unifying Syria after more than 2 decades of the Assad dictatorship leadership's brutality. Emma Beals, a non-resident fellow at the Middle East Institute and senior advisor at the European Institute of Peace, says there are preliminary signs that he might have changed his ways.
We've seen significant changes in how he has conducted himself, and I think he kind of made a choice that actually he's more interested in a leadership role in Syria than transnational jihadist threats. If he takes over an enormous amount of power, and that's still to be seen, would he rule in a way that the majority of Syrians who rose up against the government and have gone through these 14 years of pain like to see? That's a separate question. And I think the answer to that is potentially no.
She says it is still far from evident that al-Jawlani will build a truly inclusive government in Syria or even pave the way for an electoral process there, which is why so many international observers are expressing caution about the country's future. With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks.
And the main news again, FBI Director Christopher Wray says he'll resign before Donald Trump returns to the White House. Trump had already signalled that he intends to replace Wray. The man accused of trying to assassinate Trump at his Florida golf course in September is looking to delay his trial until December 2025. And US police say fingerprints found at the scene of the murder of United Healthcare's CEO match those of the suspect who's been arrested. That's Feature Story News. Nick Harper reporting.
Sources at the video streaming service Netflix reported today that they had sent local man Shane Fowler a personal message earlier just checking to see if everything was okay after the 31-year-old watched an entire season of the FX program Sons of Anarchy in a single viewing session.
Well, we happened to notice that Shane had been sitting in front of his laptop and had burned through all 13 episodes of the first season of Sons of Anarchy. So we thought maybe we could send him a note and just sort of make sure he was doing all right, or if he needed someone to talk to or something.
Netflix says the message, which Fowler received minutes after he finished viewing the season 1 finale of the motorcycle gang drama, was just a way for the company to see if there was anything they could do for their longtime subscriber.
I mean, we do this stuff all the time. Just last year, Mike Ralston from Bartlesville, Oklahoma, watched all 4 seasons of The Tudors after his wife left him. We were there for him. We just like to check in on our customers from time to time.
This is the Onion News Network.
Yep, we still do email. Drop your email address in the entry box at freetalklive.com and you'll be kept in the loop with Free Talk Live. Free Talk Live.
Welcome to Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control, and 603-283-6160 is the phone number here. That's 603-283-6160. And I'd like to thank Chef for being an amplifier with us here at Free Talk Live. That means that Chef went to amps.freetalklive.com and signed up to support the show. AMPS stands for Advertise, Market, Promote, and Support. Thanks again to Chef and everyone who supports us. Again, that's amps.freetalklive.com if you'd like to check out the perks and benefits of becoming an amplifier. And with you on Free Talk Live tonight, you've got me, Bonnie.
And Chris.
And we already have a caller on the line. We have Sarah in New Mexico, so I'm just going to go right to the phone. Sarah, you're on Free Talk Live. What's on your mind?
Yes, I was in front of this Tyro check, and I was talking to a man about our speeding cameras, and then what he says is that, all you have to do is just return to the sender and send it back, and just tell them that you never got the letter, you never got a speeding camera ticket letter. Can you just throw that in the garbage can and say you never got it? That's what he was telling me.
Works for me. Throw tickets in garbage? Sounds like a awesome plan.
I guess I'm a little lost. So you're saying that somebody who gets a ticket from them could potentially just throw away their ticket and then not get charged? Is that what you're saying?
Well, what he was saying that just return to the sender and send it back to whoever sent it. So then you just say that, basically saying that you just deny that you never got any letter. I never got any letter. So that I was never notified that I got a speeding camera ticket, the robotic tickets.
I like it.
Good idea. But, you know, that's, okay, isn't that kind of irresponsible behavior? Like, this is just completely like being obnoxious.
Yes. I spend most of my life that way, Sarah.
Completely being obnoxious.
In general.
Yeah, so, I mean, what you guys think this is great?
I disagree that it's obnoxious to stand up for yourself when you're getting coerced to spend money, you know, getting stolen from by highwaymen.
Right.
So the thing is that no, it's a highway, like a computer. It's a speeding camera.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So and then
worse.
Yeah, they just mail you a ticket, but you know, I think it's just being irresponsible. So what the another thing that they come up with is the stop on red I was talking about. So if there's people are speeding, the next signal light would automatically just stop.
Oh, okay, so that is what you meant. We were a bit confused about that. Monday, me and Penguin, she called in about this. There is this program, I guess you'd call it, called Stop on Red. And so there are these imagine like a grid neighborhood where your street has a whole bunch of stop signs, but people are just blowing past them. Those are the most terrifying neighborhoods. Like in San Antonio, there is a neighborhood I know of where my friend used to live. And it's just a bunch of like crappy rundown houses, and it's like a grid, and there's just stop sign after stop sign on every single grid corner, which might get annoying if you live in them. But people get they just like fly through them.
Do they fly through them, or do they like California stop? You know, just sort of slow down.
Yeah,
they don't even.
I started to get really scared, like driving through there. I was like really careful. Like I'd stop and like really look to make sure I'm not just happening to drive into it, and then they're flying past. But yeah, but in Sarah's case, she says that instead of stop signs, imagine you're flying past all these red lights, and she said that...
Now, what it is that, see, there was 2 one-way roads, Lead and Coal, so they're all 3, like 2 lanes going one way, but there's about 4 intersections, they actually have a signal light.
Mm-hmm.
But what happens
it'll
is that
turn red out in front. Like streets ahead.
The thing is that it would just stay green no matter what speed they did. Now, if they're going above the speed, they would next light would be a red. They're speeding the next segment, it'd just be a turn red. Because there's a computer sensor. It registers the speed, and the next signal light, they'll just stop everybody. Yeah, so
that is micromanaging traffic.
Right, it's a computer that manages traffic.
Oh, this is actually worse than... So what I was describing was more like criminal than what Sarah's describing. So it's not that they're blowing through red lights. It's that they're just going too fast through green lights.
It sounds like they're penalizing people for speeding.
Yeah, by just turning it red.
Like ruining their day by turning them...
But look at the speeding camera tickets, what are they doing? They return it to the sender. They say, I never got that letter. They throw it in the garbage.
So are you done advocating for red light cameras because people don't have to pay for them?
Well, the only thing we have is a speeding camera, and they're sending the letters back and say, well, I never got the speeding camera ticket.
Yeah, we understand, but I'm asking, are you done advocating for that? Because now you realize that it costs money to put these cameras up, and you're not getting the town their money back because people aren't going to pay their tickets.
And you're probably not making anything safer.
And you're not making anyone slow down or stop on red or whatever.
Well, you know, the thing is, I'll just try any measure. I would like the stop on red if that's working for the one way.
You just explained that it's not.
Expand it.
But you just explained that the red light cameras are not working. So why continue with something that's not working?
You understand the stop on red? Nobody gets a ticket.
Yeah.
It's just that when you're speeding, the light would just stop everybody. So here in Albuquerque, if they found out who sped, they would come out of the car and beat that guy up. You know?
No, that's a more free market example. Like just the idiot who's causing me to stop and holding me up at a red light. Let's kick his ass.
How are they going to figure that out? Like.
You just beat up the guy in front.
Are they smart enough to figure out who did it? Yeah, you got a little batch of cars going.
It's so funny. Sarah talks about
who sped.
Fellow Albuquerqueans, like they're a bunch of like completely stupid beneath her people.
I understand, but you don't drive, Sarah.
Well, you know what? There's people that they found like with the bullets in them inside a car, and it's like they had an attitude. They had a cop that attitude. And I mean, you can look it up in the news.
It could be either cops or fellow drivers.
Well, I mean, Albuquerque has like the highest gun-related road rage involving guns.
Yeah.
And about a week ago, they had 2 people shot to death, and they found them in the car like that. So
for road rage, that's so bad.
So, but I mean, I'm just saying, but I wish that would happen. If they figured out who did it at the red light, they would come out and beat that guy up, and maybe they won't speed. You know what I mean? So they get a red light. So they'll stop on red. Nobody gets a ticket, but they make everybody stop at the signal light. The computer tells them it's a red light. Next one, they're speeding. It's a red light.
That is
so
just asking for trouble. That to me is just inciting violence.
If even Sarah thought of it, that
I know
they should just go out and beat people up. That'd be great.
Well, I think that's good. They should beat up the speeder. That's making everybody stop. I really like that.
I don't really advocate violence against my fellow man, but hey, you be you.
Sarah does it on the show every night.
I know that. I've taken many Sarah calls.
Well, you know what? There was a drunken lady that was bothering everybody. I was ready to charge her and push her over the curb the other day.
Into the speeding cars?
Sarah?
I have to, you know what? They had 5 of them. There was one woman. They used her to say, do you have a balloon? Do you smoke? Do you have change? Whatever. They used her to be the mouthpiece. The guys don't dare say anything. Another man would just beat them up. They don't say nothing. So they had this one lady doing all the mouthing off. I was ready to run over there and push her, knock her over. You know what I mean?
You wanted to hit her into the road so she would die?
No. They sit in the curb in front of our cul-de-sac. We have a one-way street that go in and out.
Oh.
And there was like 6 drunk. They were there for 7 hours. Because they were panhandling people right in the front. Everybody, it's like one exit in and out. And
so not into the speeding cars, but just push her over.
Sarah was complaining about these people.
No, I mean push her over into the grass area. I was tempted, but I restrained myself. You know, I tried to ignore her and walked away as much as I could. But one of these days, I was going to charge and knock her over. You know, onto the grass. Because she's drunk anyway. She's not going to feel anything.
And she won't remember anyway.
People, you know?
Are they in your yard?
No, what it is that we have an interest. There's a little city property. It's about 20 feet by 30 feet. And then all they do is bother women. They ask all the women going in and out for money, cigarettes, and everything. They don't bother the men.
This is a tragedy of the commons story. Yes. Okay. Yeah.
Aren't the women more even temper? We don't go blow up as a guy would. A man would just get flared up and just boom, you know?
Okay. Some of us don't, but that's okay. Do you know what tragedy of the commons is? Sarah, this is when somebody, I think the story goes that, you know, they had this pond with all these fish, or this land with all these cattle and lots of room to graze. So everybody could graze their cattle on this land and everybody shared it, but then nobody respected it because they didn't own it. And then the land became overgrazed and the cattle didn't have any food. And it was a tragedy because capitalism and ownership of things leads people to take care of resources. And in this case, where you're talking about an area that nobody owns, nobody takes care of, you have all these bad things happening. That's what I meant. Follow me on that?
It's amazing that my neighbor saw people sleeping there 2:30 in the morning last night. It was like 20 degrees all night long, and he goes to sleep at 2:00 in the morning. They were sleeping there.
Okay.
I'm just like.
Who owns this land?
By 5 in the morning.
Who owns this
she's
land?
Government, state-owned.
It's a tiny. It's a city property.
Yes.
And so the city hasn't cleaned it for 10 years.
So everyone owns it. No one takes care of it. It is tragedy of the commons. No one's responsible for it.
So you know what we're going to do? We're going to start planting cactuses, and hopefully they're not going to beat that up and pull it out or anything.
Wait, planting what?
Cactuses.
Cactus.
Yes. You'll sleep on cactuses. Oh,
they're
that's great.
They're just going to pull it up.
How about they privatize this park? Sell it to a wealthy company who can put billboards up on it and mow it and ensure that, no riffraff spends time. Just makes it a nice place for everybody.
Sarah thinks it's violence for her to have to look at advertisements.
Okay.
I do not like advertisement. In communist countries like in Cuba, one of the things that all the communist ones that went and visited there are no advertisements on the freeways anywhere because everything is state-owned. There's nothing to advertise.
Nothing to advertise. But they do have big pictures of Dear Leader. There were big pictures of Castro down there. Those are advertisements.
Mm-hmm.
They're advertisements meant to scare the hell out of you and not think about doing anything anti-government, but they're advertisements nonetheless.
Or the leaders, yeah.
Sarah's opinion is that Cuba is good because she thinks communism is good.
I know this. I know when.
Yeah, I do think communism is good. Because they demonized the Fidel Castro. People really loved him. When he passed away, they took his ashes or something and took it and walked it all the way to the island where they won the battle.
I'm sure some people loved him.
The dead people that Castro killed didn't love him, I'm going to guess. I'm guessing they were kind of like it's sort of a toss-up whether we like him after he murdered us.
Mm-mm. Yeah, I do. That's kind of when they overthrow. I don't like all that murder. And I think that's why Che Guevara, didn't he get shot in Bolivia because he wanted to start up a revolution? But I was told that he was behind a lot of murders also.
He did murder a bunch of people, including like anyone gay. He would murder anyone that was gay. Che Guevara, right, Chris?
Yes.
Well, Sarah, did you have anything else you wanted to say?
Sure.
Or was that it about the red light cameras, about communism?
About the Che Guevara, I think that's why he minded up getting shot to death. That's karma. You kill other people, you shoot other people, you wind up getting shot yourself.
So Castro's totals aren't that high. Compared to some of the other communists. Castro, they estimate he killed between 15,000 and 18,000 people.
More than me.
More than me. How many people have you killed, Sarah?
Just that lady that was...
I have not killed anybody.
Good.
But here's the thing, socialism it actually saves lives. Social Security and Medicare, Medicaid, that's not save life. That's not murderous. That's helping people survive. Welfare and food stamps. That's saving people's lives.
Did it? So Castro killed between 11 and 18,000 people. That did not save lives, Sarah. And in Russia...
she's saying that it's worth it because, then now they have welfare, which, quote-unquote, saves people's lives. And now they have health care for, quote-unquote, free, which now, quote-unquote, saves people's lives.
Yes, it doesn't. Sarah, I'll debate you on this any day. It does not save people's lives. It kills people.
Well, you have a good night.
Yes, you too. Have a good night.
Thank you, Sarah. Actually, I'm surprised. Sarah's never hung up on me. Ever.
Oh, I don't think she has me. I let her go on. And
I usually don't even let her go that long. It was just like there was enough to talk about there.
I'm enjoying the second chair. Bonnie and I swap, so she gets to be first chair for an hour, and I get to be in the second chair, and I can pick on Sarah.
Yeah. she's never hung up on me, though. Usually she just, like, wants to be on the whole time, but she got kind of annoyed just now and said, well, you have a good night. But I just can't imagine my worldview changes because somebody said something I don't like my hero killed 11,000 people or more. And then you get mad about that?
Yeah.
Instead of changing your mind?
Defend it. Tell me where I'm wrong.
Did you know that Sarah's grandma was from North Korea?
No.
Escaped from North Korea as things were getting bad. Yes. And I asked her, I was like, well, didn't your grandma tell you not to be a communist? And was she mad at you that you became communist? She was like, she was mad, but like my grandma just didn't get it. So basically Sarah's like older now, but when she was probably like in her 20s, my God. She was just in like a rebellious phase and then she's just ran with it.
Just never outgrew it.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Somebody probably approached her because she was being like a useless, honestly. What's the word? Welfare recipient, and then they convinced her to become a communist. She said she got like approached by someone somewhere, and then she started going to not classes but like meetups and
indoctrination camps.
Yes, and that's why she always has these answers. Like you say something to her, and she's like, "Yeah, well, people actually liked Castro. They spread his ashes because they liked him." And it's just like, yeah, I'm sure that's representative of the whole country.
Right. Especially those 18,000 dead Cubans that Castro killed.
Yeah, they didn't spread their ashes lovingly. But speaking of bureaucrats, and we've been talking about bureaucrats all night with like the healthcare stuff and all these people that intertwine with the government. Those are just like, it's so annoying when somebody says, oh, well, it's a private sector. It's fascism because it's a quote unquote private sector that's then in the I want to say in the books with the government, and they get there and they get influence over the laws to change them to make their company benefit, and they also just get held up by the government and wouldn't be able to run the way that they do without the government.
My biggest problem with the whole thing is that big businesses can afford to get the laws passed that only they can follow. And it's the barrier to entry. I mean, I would love to see more small businesses become big businesses.
Yeah.
But you can't get into the health insurance business. You can't, as a small guy, start your own health insurance company. You can't because they've built up so many barriers that you could never afford. You could never raise money to compete with them. So the only people that will ever be in that business are the people that are already there.
Yep. And Tom Woods was tweeting today, oh, well, these people are being mean to the CEOs. And I was surprised that he was like that far on that side because like we were saying with Turd, it's not that we are the type that are cheering it on. Like, yes, kill those CEOs. They're too rich. It's not, that's like a leftist, unintelligent, like low IQ way to think about it, way to come at this. But I also don't feel like, oh, this person never did anything wrong. The CEOs are the people that meet up with the regulators and create the bills that make things the way they are.
Right. And come up with those barriers to entry. And they're the ones that keep it a small club. And
you're forced to use these companies that work this way.
And I guarantee you, every publicly traded company has a board of directors that the CEOs all answer to. They're in charge of day-to-day stuff. But if that guy was getting paid $10 million a year, it's because he was meeting his goals. The goals that the board of directors and the stockholders set for him, he hit the numbers. He was doing as many denials as he possibly could, and he was getting rewarded for that. And if that reward happened to be $10 million, it's $10 million. They're trying to, a judge is trying to tell the board of directors at SpaceX how much they can pay Elon Musk for his contract. They think $5 billion is the right number for Elon Musk to get paid. And a judge is sitting there going, no,
isn't he a trillionaire?
That's just too much. Not yet.
Oh.
Not yet.
Wow.
But that's the whole thing. And this conversation of executive compensation. I can't even imagine. But the idea of executive compensation is sort of a non-starter for me. If the shareholders are expecting these results that will make them wealthy, and if they see the CEO as crucial to their plans of getting wealthy, then they're going to offer high pay because it takes a psychopath to be a CEO.
I'm sure.
And that's not a big field to go for.
603-283-6160. If you call in, you can get as much time as we just gave Sarah in last segment if you have interesting things to talk about. 603-283-6160. More Free Talk Live coming up. We're going to talk about how bureaucrats destroy jobs.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market.
Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Nick Harper. FBI Director Christopher Wray says he will resign before President-elect Donald Trump takes office. It comes just days after Trump announced his intentions to replace Wray. FSN's Kate Fisher reports from Washington.
In an interview over the weekend, Trump said he was very unhappy with the things that Wray had done. Under Wray's tenure, the FBI's investigated Trump, including assisting in a federal probe into his handling of classified documents. In a Truth Social post, Trump said that Wray's resignation is, quote, a great day for America. In announcing that he would step down, Christopher Wray said he believed it would be the best way to avoid dragging the Bureau deeper into the fray. Trump says he wants to appoint Kash Patel as his replacement. He's a longtime loyalist who's called for dramatically limiting the FBI's authority.
The man accused of trying to assassinate Donald Trump on his Florida golf course is looking to delay his trial until December 2025. His lawyers say Ryan Ruth is considering an insanity defense. His team says the extraordinary volume of evidence and material that needs to be examined ahead of the trial means he can't stand trial for another 12 months. His trial date is currently scheduled for February the 10th. US police say fingerprints found at the scene of the murder of United Healthcare's CEO match those of the suspect, Luigi Mangione. He was arrested last week after the killing in New York. Meanwhile, he's fighting extradition from Pennsylvania to Manhattan. FSN's Sally Patterson has more.
Luigi Mangione struggled with officers as he was led into a Pennsylvania courthouse. The 26-year-old shouted to reporters, "It's an insult to the intelligence of the American people." He's accused of shooting Brian Thompson in New York, who worked for America's largest insurance company. Mangione grew up in Baltimore, Maryland, where he attended Gilman School, an all-boys private school. Sources told media that investigators have started interviewing members of his family.
A wildfire continues to threaten the US city of Malibu, destroying at least 7 homes and forcing thousands to evacuate the coastal enclave in Southern California. More than 1,500 firefighters are trying to control the blaze, which began on Monday night and quickly spread due to windy conditions. FSN's Ira Spitzer reports from California.
California officials said the Franklin fire grew by 39% on Wednesday night and has now burned more than 3,900 acres or 1,500 hectares with 7% containment. At least 7 homes have been destroyed and 9 damaged, and the fire is burning near several residential neighborhoods and an RV park. The blaze has forced thousands to leave their homes in the wealthy enclave east of LA, including celebrities such as Dick Van Dyke and Cher.
From Bureaus Worldwide, this is FSN.
Got Telegram? You can follow our channel there and discuss show prep with other listeners at telegram.freetalklive.com.
Talk Live, talk radio that you control, and 603-283-6160 is the phone number. That's 603-283-6160. And Free Talk Live is brought to you by LibertyMinded.com. Official Free Talk Live gear like t-shirts and hoodies are available at LibertyMinded.com. Plus, you'll find a unique collection of cool and funny liberty-oriented clothing at LibertyMinded.com. That's LibertyMinded.com. And with you on Free Talk Live, you've got me, Bonnie.
And Chris. And what was that website again?
LibertyMinded.com.
LibertyMinded.com.
Yeah.
I'm not a critic, but I read that. I mean, like, how many times can we say LibertyMinded.com?
The
company's kind of the live reads.
I thought you just couldn't understand what I was saying. I was like,
it's LibertyMinded.com.
Actually, Ian
and they
wrote
do
it.
have really cool stuff.
Ian wrote it, actually, not the guy who owns it.
Yeah. I like LibertyMinded.com.
It does always feel
like we're
there's
saying.
one extra at least.
It does.
LibertyMinded.com.
I know, LibertyMinded.com. He got his money's worth, though.
Yeah,
on
now
this
you've
show,
heard
he
it.
absolutely did. But please check it out. It's cool.
I love my Free Talk Live jackets. I literally wear them every day. I wore mine today. I had a nice jacket on, so I used my Free Talk Live jacket to go over my head to not get rained on as I went to the car until I found my umbrella.
Where did you get that?
At LibertyMinded.com.
I'm just double checking. I thought it was a cheap Chinese knockoff, but no, you got the real thing from LibertyMinded.com. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We have a caller on the line since it is Free Talk Live. David in New Mexico, you're on Free Talk Live. What's on your mind?
Yeah, speaking of Sarah.
Okay.
Yeah, talk about that in a second. If I had a nickel for every time that I ran those lights up and down Lead, Coal, and Albuquerque, man, I'd be rich.
You're the culprit.
Uh-oh, you're going to get beat up by Sarah's imaginary mean gangsters who hate speeding.
Bring it on, Sarah. Bring it on, Sarah. I ain't scared.
Or Sarah's going to push you down into some grass.
Oh, worse. She'll send you to Cuba.
No, that would be like
to where?
vacation.
She'll send you to the most glorious country dear leader ever created.
She always brings this up. This is another talking point she'll say. If you say something bad about Cuba, she'll be like, in Canada, they go there as like a vacation.
I go there for the cigars. And there are ways to bring a little bit of money to the poor people in Cuba. So
maybe like going and seeing their beaches and stuff. I'm sure it's not like, oh, it's hell everywhere,
Sexy beaches in Cuba.
As soon as you go see how the people are really living, you'd probably be sad.
Yeah.
Like somebody said, they don't have shoes, stuff like that.
Suppose I should say that with a Spanish accent. The sexy beaches in Cuba.
Cuba? Yeah.
Cuba.
Sexy beaches. Yeah, the beaches.
Sexy beaches.
Bonnie.
Yeah, because
Sexy.
David is from New Mexico, so he's a New Mexican, so he has a Mexican accent.
Yes.
Of course I do. And I have five trailer homes on my lot. I am rich.
He has a trailer courtyard. Because they have 4 trailers and they put them end to end, seriously.
All surrounding you? Have they walled you in yet?
I wish they would make a wall between me and them. They got like it's like a half wall. There's gaps between the trailers so their generator noise comes through, but it would be nice if they were like tight up against each other so that they would stay on the other side of it.
What would you do if you woke up one day and you thought, it's kind of dark in my room for some reason, and you wake up and they have put the trailers all around your trailer? And it's
as long as they were outside and I was inside, it would be an improvement.
It's all David needs.
Yeah, you thought I was racist before, man. I am so sick of these people, man. I can't tell you. I guess I have told you.
Isn't it worse just poor people? Because these are clearly poor Mexicans. Like, what? Don't you think?
Yeah, it's worse than poor. They're poor and they're dumb, ignorant, uneducated.
Yeah, but don't you think if you met some smart, not poor Mexicans, you'd probably like them? That's what the thing I don't understand about racism is. Like, of course you hate poor people; they suck.
Yeah. This is all an act anyway. I just rag on it because they're annoying. So I ramp it up. But yeah, when I doesn't matter who you are. me. Well, put it this way. Even one of my exes that doesn't really care for me, she said this. This is a direct quote that she was talking to me when she said it, so I don't know how to do first person, second person, third, whatever. She said that I treat everybody alike, and she didn't mean bad. And she meant that no matter who they are, whether they're somebody really important and whatever, or if they're nobody, I treat them the same, meaning not bad.
Okay. That's good. Is this your ex, Marissa Tomei?
I wish. I would have tried to not make that one an ex.
He said that she flirted with him.
Did she?
Did, dude. She looked me up and down, just like it was like being in a scene in a movie with her when she's acting it up, and she probably was, but she literally looked me up from head to toe.
Pixar didn't happen.
Yeah,
she's like extremely pretty, and in fact, there's this video that's gone viral of her from this year. She turned 60, I think, this year, and she's like in a nice dress and like showing her leg and like pulling her leg up in the air, and she looks really attractive, and it's like you'd be shocked. You wouldn't guess that she was 60, and that keeps going viral, and it keeps popping up on. And before David told me that story, I didn't know who she was, so I had to Google her, and I was like, whoa, this lady is really pretty. She's like totally my type of, not type as in like I'm attracted to her, but totally the type of lady I think is pretty, like brunette, skinny.
Yes, you don't have a thing for blondes. You just hate all blonde people.
It just annoys me that they think somehow they're superior when they're clearly not. And it's like most people I talk to agree.
They're clearly not.
Except David.
Well, wait a minute. If they think they're superior, then where did the dumb blonde jokes come from?
I think
from brunettes. Duh.
I think it's just the people that like I don't know, are dumb enough to dye their hair blonde when they had nice brunette hair. That's where the dumb blonde idea comes from.
Oh, I had a question I need to ask you, Bonnie. Sabrina Carpenter, blonde or brunette, naturally?
Oh, naturally. I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah.
I would think maybe
that was kind of a stumper. I have questions about pop stars. I know to go to Bonnie.
It seems like she's probably...
She colors her hair.
I would think that she'd be like naturally blonde, but like not that blonde, and then she like does it up like most
fairly
blondes.
Dark eyebrows.
Yeah, that's a good point. But the thing is, I wasn't really a fan of hers till like this year.
I refer to the eyebrows as the drapes.
Whoa, her natural hair color is like the same color as mine, like a medium brown.
What was that, David?
Oh, I see. Well, I always thought the drapes were the pubes, but they're the eyebrows.
Well,
yeah, they're not supposed to be the eyebrows. Normally, they're not the eyebrows.
Okay.
Chris is just too damn old, Bonnie.
Am I?
Got him around. Yeah.
So this says that her hair color is naturally medium blonde. So I'm right. Like most blondes, they're nearly not even blonde, and then they get highlights because that medium color is kind of boring. I'm gonna feel the same way about my medium brown. I'm going to go darker soon. I've just been like lazy about it. I feel like the extremes are where things are nice. Like when you're just a dirty blonde, you gotta go blonde, and then you'll look better. And you might still have dark eyebrows.
Yeah, the medium blonde versus medium brown gets a little fuzzy with me. I need good examples of these so I can tell them apart. And maybe it was Sabrina I was Googling. I think I did Google her natural hair. And medium blonde just doesn't ring any bells with me.
You Googled Sabrina Carpenter's natural hair, and you got a picture of her triangle?
No.
That's too bad. That's what I got. You're looking at the wrong site.
I got it, evidently. Yeah. Medium blonde versus medium brown. I don't know that there's that much difference, is there?
There is. My hair would still look darker than her medium blonde. Her medium blonde would look like, oh, she's blonde, but it's like a bit darker. And my hair looks like, some people have called, like some people who are like boys and don't know the differences between colors have called my hair black.
I'm one of these people.
And I think especially if you're looking at the cameras, you can tell my hair is not black, but so my hair is much darker than somebody with medium blonde, and
so
yet
yours would be dark brown.
I think mine is medium because it's just like not that dark.
Really?
There's like tons of shades darker, all the way up to black. But then again, it's like
if medium blonde is medium blonde, then what is dishwater blonde?
That's medium blonde, and I agree with that terminology because it's just like it's boring. I feel like mine is boring, but it could be worse. It could be light brown. I think I just don't like that.
So what is coconut then?
I call him tan with the spots of white.
Tan?
I call him coconut.
Is that what it says on his driver's license?
It would whenever I like sign him up for like a vet or something, I put tan.
At the Mighty Moose Mart, we hung a picture of a coconut, and the coconut has the absolute same coloring as coconut.
Yeah, literally. Like when he didn't have a name for like 24 hours, and I was calling him Noodle and seeing if that would fit. No. And his ears were really floppy and squishy and soft, so I thought that would be a good name. And I'm so glad it didn't go Noodle because his ears firmed up. I didn't know that was a thing at the time, and one day it just hit me. And I also wanted it to be a food name. Because my other dog's name was Schnitzel.
You wanted to eat him? You wanted to eat him like my other neighbors, the dog eaters.
Oh, no, that's
God,
not
don't tell me
true.
about that. Don't tell me about dog eating.
Well,
okay, I won't.
I'll tell you a worse one. So I got this showed up on my news feed, and they were talking about this guy's wife likes to go to like international markets. She's from the Philippines originally. And she wanted to pick up some stuff to remind her of home. And let me make sure I get this right.
Picked up a dog.
Inverted pork rectums.
Ew, that's pretty
yummy.
Bad. Inverted.
I love those.
Why?
Like inside out. They're
like if you're gonna eat, if you have to eat that, wouldn't you want to not eat it inside out specifically for on purpose?
See, I love the internet because it'll send me down rabbit holes that I never would have dreamed of following. Actually, this is a food that is eaten around the world, all different countries. A lot of countries, they use this, like in Germany, for sausage. The
casings or?
Yes, for sausage casings. And sometimes it'll be chopped up and diced up and sauteed and served as foods.
And in America, they use them in imitation calamari. No lie.
Interesting.
Oh my gosh.
I thought you were going to say in America we just elect them.
Well, that too. That's why. Never mind.
Why do they invert them? Is menudo? Do you know if it is the same thing?
But they invert them because the commoners eat them the regular way, and so to be special and to be a delicacy, you have to invert them.
Yes,
that's why.
Okay.
This doesn't look good at all. It looks like a dead worm.
Yep, that's it. That's it.
But yeah, I've had menudo, so I've basically had that, and it wasn't bad.
What is that?
Menudo is a soup.
Other than Ricky a boy band, right?
Is that
Ricky Martin? Yeah, Menudo.
Oh,
Menudo.
You just brought back a memory. I have to interrupt you to tell you this
Go
one.
ahead.
I was back when I was flying jets in Minneapolis. Back when I was on Bon Jovi's airplane, and was another band. Who else? Bon Jovi. Anyway, Menudo's plane was right next to mine one day.
Really?
Is that that's a boy band? I'm a little lost. Who is that?
Ricky Martin.
Okay, the guy who died in a plane?
Dude. You would love him, Bonnie. He's gay.
Didn't he die in a plane?
He was no, he's in his 40s now. He was in a TV show recently. But he was
I definitely heard the name. I just
very
didn't
much
know.
a heartthrob. All the women were in love with him, and then he came out.
He came out as gay. Okay, I remember that. And also, I didn't know that his name was Menudo.
The band he was in.
Oh, okay, he was in a band. All right.
Not really
so
a band.
I don't know
They're
why.
not really a band.
Boy band.
They got no instruments. They just sing.
A group, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know why they would name it Menudo, honestly, but that is. Oh my God, you can buy it from Alibaba.com.
I would absolutely trust that.
No, Bonnie, no, because they're hot and spicy.
Oh, okay. Have you had Menudo? Did you already know what it was, David?
No, I've never had a hot and spicy Latin lover, especially one that's a boy. Bonnie, but thanks for asking.
Hey, night's still young.
What if they were a healthcare CEO?
Then I'd either date him or off him. I don't know. I guess that's kind of the same thing. But
oh my god, because David said he was gay for pay as long as you're a $11 million healthcare CEO.
Yeah, it's got to be. It's got to be big bucks to make it worth it.
Yeah, just can't.
I was gonna name them, but never mind. A gay guy that I know talked about this porn site called Broke Straight Boys. And it's obviously, it has to be fake is what I was thinking is like, okay, funny. It's got to be fake. They pretend they get on.
Sounds real to me.
They get brought into a room or something and they're like, okay, well, I only have this. I mean, well, okay, I need $50 to cover this, blah, blah. And they're like, all right, then if you do this, and then the porn begins. I think that has to be fake.
Yeah, probably.
And it's just so funny how
sounds real.
Gay guys want straight guys to be gay. That's the thing, though. You're saying it sounds real. It's like, how many straight guys do you know that would do that for like any amount of money?
Well, didn't you have one on your program? The co-host thing named Vin was.
Oh.
Yeah.
I thought you were gonna make a joke about Ian in the video games.
No. Well, that's a good one too. Yeah, now that you bring it up.
I guess I did. But I think that's a little different.
Why is it different?
Because it's not full-on sex, and he was very young.
Wait a minute. You're talking about Ian. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, I don't know about Vin. I don't know what he was doing.
Oh. Well, he was doing everything, apparently. Except for actually, he was doing...
I thought he was,
like a prostitute
gigolo.
Like women would hire.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, women, but can you get... Yeah, I suppose. So what do you do when a gay guy calls you? If you advertise as a gigolo and
feel free to discriminate.
Yeah, just say no.
Yeah.
I thought you were saying that he admitted to that.
You're going to get 9... If you do that, you're going to get 9 calls, unless you say it in your advertising... No dudes. You're going to get 9 calls from dudes for every, more than that. You're going to get 19 or 29 calls for every 1 or 2 from a female.
Yeah, I've never heard of a woman ever going to a prostitute, and I've actually met people who are men that have gone to prostitutes.
I've got to watch that show on Showtime. I'm sure it's still out there.
What is it?
The show that Vin was on.
Oh, yeah, I forgot he was on a show.
Was it just Gigolos? I think that was it.
Oh, yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah.
I don't know this guy. All I know is they did the show before, and that he used to do the show from, not Guam, wherever that island is that Mark would go to.
Oh, Marianas?
The Mariana Islands, yeah.
Ben was on that. Interesting.
Think so.
Yeah, that's when I wasn't doing the show for a while. Yeah, Ben was a good dude. I remember he and I did a Bitcoin thing at the C Center. It's a science and engineering center in Manchester, I think. Yeah. But I don't know. We should get him on the show and ask him if he did gay sex.
Yeah, you shouldn't just put that on someone. Right. You don't know the answer to.
Right.
Why not? It's more fun that way.
Maybe he'd sue you. I don't know. What if he can prove in court that you cost him women liking him?
Impacted his income.
I guess I owe him some women then. I'll have to give some of mine up.
Marissa Tomei might do.
Right.
No, you can't have Marissa. Oh, speaking of that, I forgot to ask you. So, ooh, baby, where do I see this photo? You said it's everywhere, so I should be looking at it right now, man.
I have
where
no
do I
clue.
find it?
It just keeps popping up on my timelines. Like, I'm not going to be able to just, like, easily pull it up. So,
I'm an
like, I
expert on
bookmarked
things
it.
popping up, especially when it comes to Marissa Tomei.
Just type in Marissa Tomei 60. I bet you will find it if you type that in. Because
I have faith in your Googling ability.
Yeah.
You'll do it.
She's clothed.
No, maybe
it's not like it's
won't.
that hard to find.
I accidentally typed in Marissa Yummy.
Yeah, I didn't know who she was, and then David told me that story, and then I went to PorcFest, and there was like a couple hours I've been out talking to people. It was so hot, and I just wanted to go back to my hotel room and like maybe change my clothes and lay there for a while. And I turned on the TV, and there was my cousin Vinny, and she's in that.
She was great in that. She got an Oscar for that.
Oh, nice. That was a really entertaining show to randomly find on the TV. I didn't watch the whole thing. I meant to say movie. I always say show. Well, David, did you have anything else for us? Are you Googling it?
Yeah, I found it 4 days ago. She's sitting on a plaid couch with her legs crossed.
Yeah, and she lifts one leg up. I don't know if it's a plaid couch. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a plaid couch. It's that way. The Stainstone show,
yes.
Casting couches.
Chris just showed me it's that plaid couch.
Yes, that's a damn fine couch.
And
yes.
It's kind of annoying because people will use that video, or people have posted that video on Twitter and then said there's something kind of pathetic and sad about this because she never had children and she's trying to look sexually attractive. It's and succeeding.
Yes. Oh, sorry, guys.
Well, I don't think she's trying to look sexually attractive in this picture on the couch.
Yeah, but it's a video. You didn't click the video.
Yeah.
I'll have to watch the video. She in the still captures. She doesn't look like she's trying to be sexy.
I mean, she's not trying to be like porn star.
She's just being herself, and she happens to be sexy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's those people on Twitter are just reaching, and they are virgins.
They're just jealous.
Yeah.
The incel army.
They're jealous of David since he got with her.
Yeah, I was with her in the doorway.
In your dreams.
We did stuff together. Yeah, right there in the doorway.
Oh my God.
Did she do stuff like "Get the hell away from me"?
No. It wasn't that at all.
Security. She did stuff jail security.
Yeah, right.
Oh God.
Did you have any updates on your sheriff stuff?
Apparently I do because I didn't talk about any of it. But who cares, man? Sarah. The reason I always talk about New Mexico history is because if you would bother to read any of it, Lincoln County War, Billy the Kid, all that stuff, you'd find out that all of the corruption that everybody complains about on this show was all except for the speeding cameras, was all present back in that day. It just has never ended, and it's an eye opener, and that's why people should study it. It's a good. I'm lacking the way I want to say it, but it's a good education for understanding that this stuff's been going on forever and exactly how it's been going on. It's really interesting on top of it.
That's pretty much the story of everything in the United States. We act like government's just starting to act bad, and it's been going on forever.
Yeah. Sometimes I think I should learn New Hampshire history. It's just that with history, I'm always like, how am I supposed to know who is telling the truth and who to listen to?
Yeah. You question it. You do your own research.
Bonnie.
Yeah.
The solution, the remedy for that is, and I don't hear other people saying this, is you don't worry about what they're saying. We the people decide what is supposed to be and what is supposed to not be, and then if they're not doing what we have decided needs to be done, then we just act accordingly. We don't listen to what they say and what they do and then react. We proact. That's the problem and the solution.
But what about with history? If you want to know what's accurate, you want to just know what actually happened and what the truth was.
You become a historian. You do a ton of research.
And then you have to have access. You get the access to the libraries they have that the normal people don't have. I didn't learn that until I listened to Thomas D. Lorenzo book, and he was talking about how there's all kinds of libraries he got access to and stuff that Lincoln wrote down that he didn't have access to until he got into college.
It's good stuff.
It's Free Talk Live. You can go to freetalklive.com. Thanks for listening. Peace.
Do you know the difference between erudite and pedantic? If you do, you're probably pedantic. But seriously, a surprising number of erudite people mispronounce erudite, which has 3 syllables, not 4. Say erudite, not erudite. Because you are judged by how you speak, you want to avoid common misstatements, especially if you're a job seeker. For instance, do you know the difference between imply and infer? only a speaker can imply